All right. We are live. The only two that show up for work.
All right, we are live. How do you do it every day? You know, I watch you for at least 10 minutes, like in the morning.
Yeah, you come in
I'm
the
like, oh
morning,
my
you leave
God.
a snarky comment, and you leave. That's like
And then I'm out. I leave I
you know
usually
you
come in at the right time when you say something stupid. So
exactly. You come in, there's like 1,500 people. You're like, why are any of you guys here? And then you just leave.
well, I think was this today or yesterday? I forgot when you said my thesis on the Tesla vehicle is that I mean, I study this for days, by the way. My thesis is that why Elon's going for full self-driving, that was always the original intention. This is what I'm hearing now.
I just
No,
repeat what you tell me. That's it.
no. The original intention was to transition the world to sustainable energy. That's like
That
the
was the
point.
bullshit intention. That was
Well, if that's the point, then the $25,000 vehicle is incredibly necessary to help
that's true.
facilitate it.
That's true.
So, because not everybody, even if full self-driving was a real thing tomorrow, not everybody's going to be able to afford that right away. If it is $150,000, like Elon's going to say, it's getting more expensive or whatever. And people do need cars, even if you can have robot cars. I think people will need vehicles anyway, at least for a while, at least the full transition that takes who God knows how long, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was wrong of you to say, you know, you did do a lot of research. I don't want to shit on that part of it.
Well,
But
so I mean, dude, there's so much news happening with Tesla. Like every day, it's like he's created a soap opera around.
he does, yeah, he's good at that. I don't know why he wants to do it, but that's it's his own making. And I think what was that analyst? What's his name? The
Dan Ives.
Dan Ives, who also said 30% is self-inflicted.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I could even probably say 50% is self-inflicted. Um,
Dude,
he puts himself in the limelight like this all the time. So
I don't know if you saw this headline. This broke an hour ago. This to me proves Drew Baglino left because he's tired of Elon's shit. Elon Musk reportedly now oversees Tesla sales in North America, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Additionally, Elon has assumed oversight of people previously led by Drew Baglino. They didn't even have a replacement for the guy.
well,
Like,
if he really did quit, if he really came to him and said, "I gave you my 2-month notice," and Elon is probably like, "You know what? You can go home tomorrow."
yeah, exactly.
Like, I bet you anything he said that. Like, he's
Exactly.
such a schmuck in that respect. I respect the guy in terms of like he's a genius. He's gonna all make us more money than currently. But my God, he off the cuff, 8-8 is off the cuff. You know, firing people the next day is off the cuff as opposed to a gentle transition. This is the way he operates. So, like, love it or hate it, that's the way he operates.
It is pretty damn incredible to see this play out. I think we got
Is
to
my
give.
camera off? Someone's saying my
No,
camera's
they're
off.
they're trolling. I don't know why they troll so much. Your camera's not
Oh.
on. You're good. Carlos, what's up?
No, I thought my focus or something was wrong.
I think everyone has to give their props to you and Chris. Chris for calling Tesla at 150 and you for selling a nice little chunk of it at 180, 190 before this.
No, it was at 250, buddy. That was when most of the sales happened.
Oh, that's okay. So at 250. Okay, so you got a real good top. We got the magic. I mean, we'll start off with this topic. We won't spend a lot of time on it. We'll move on to the macro, but yeah, 150 on Tesla. What are your raw thoughts? Let's start with Chris because you called this, and then we'll go to everybody else.
No. Let the other guys pick first. Real quick.
Okay, Vitaly, you can start. Carlos just came. He'll get his thoughts together. Go ahead.
I mean, we've been talking about it for a while. I'm not surprised that if the car was, even if there was no issues right now, even if the car was 2 years away for the Model 2 or whatever it's going to be called, that's still a long time for investors to wait, even if that still happens, by the way. So during that time, investors get bored, right? Because people go in and out. So the traders are exiting. Only the long-term investors will be left. And at some point, it becomes a good trade again. So, I mean, this was obviously going to happen just because the timelines for these things take so long.
Carlos, how you feeling? 150 Tesla.
I just wish I had more cash to buy more.
Gotta sell some of that Bitcoin, buy Tesla.
Yeah, I know.
Trade.
I did. We'll talk about that later. I did start trimming.
Oh wow, you started trimming.
Yeah, that was a technical thing, but with Tesla, I think in 2 years this is going to seem like such the obvious play, like so many other things that they've done. We've seen periods in this company 3, 4, 5 years where it trades sideways and it just becomes a massive accumulation, and then that spring pops. So we had bad guidance for the year, and he even said last year that this is going to be a rough year. So none of this is a surprise to anyone, but people are pretending like we didn't know that this was going to be a bad year for the industry. And I think I hate to say it, but so much is just predicated on finally getting a rate cut. And so I don't expect the stock to be performing, over the moon until that happens. But I think I've really just been thinking about this robo-taxi thing. It brings a lot of questions in terms of what's going to happen for 2030. But I think in the next couple of years, I think it's going to be great for the stock. I mean,
okay, let's get Chris. Let's get your thoughts. And I want to play one quick 2-minute clip by Brad Gerstner talking about robo-taxi. Then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that demand for EVs was waning, especially because everywhere you look, you ask the dealerships, when you do the on the ground fundamental research, you could tell that demand for EVs was really, really slowing down. The amount of deals that were coming out that were EV centric were just too excessive to ignore. And unfortunately, the mainstay of Tesla's business is electric vehicles. I mean, they do have other parts of their business that are still in their technical infancy. They are growing really well, so that is a big plus for them. But at the end of the day, most of what Tesla does is still in the EV space. So EVs right now, the market itself is weakening, and yeah, this is just one of those things that we're going to have to contend with. I can't say when this trend is going to reverse because it's really about the consumer. And the consumer's got to be confident in their purchase of electric vehicles, whether that be because of the pricing that they can get on it just makes it more compelling than ICE, or the convenience of it where you can just charge it from home. Everyone that I've spoken to right now, they're more in tune with buying a hybrid than they are with buying an EV. I myself, we bought an EV. I mean, we bought a hybrid because the EV just didn't make sense because we live in a condo. There's no, even if Tesla made the best EV in the world, which clearly they do, it wouldn't fit our needs. And that's the thing with most Americans right now, where people are just not feeling the need for an EV. And I think that's also happening around other parts of the world too. Yeah, so demand is dropping.
Europe had a bad drop off in demand today with Tesla. Chris, this is the Europe stats. When are you buying Tesla now? What is your price?
I hate to say this, but there's really no such thing as a hard price target that which you can just, okay, that's the target and I'm going to buy it at that price no matter what, because narratives can change, right?
It depends on
so what's the price?
It depends on how it
There
gets.
is no price. Yeah.
There's always a price. There's always a price.
No,
if Tesla was $2, there would be a very big incentive to take up that price.
You're using a hyperbolic
Chris would sell
scenario.
puts to $1. He would sell $1 puts on a $2. He'd have a $1 put on that.
You're trying to use a hyperbolic scenario. In terms of valuations, you'd have to get Tesla to be on par with the other automakers, which, by the way, if they're trading in the single digits.
But are you really?
No, but Chris, I'm saying be real.
No
give it a decent premium. Assume the best case scenario. What would you buy Tesla at?
I can't tell you right now because I don't see. I honestly don't see a recovery in the EV space yet. I think eventually it will come, but there are other opportunities in the market that I'm going to put my money towards.
Oh, that's fine. I'm not saying you literally have to take your money. I'm asking, as a hypothetical, if you had some extra money to buy on Tesla, what price gets you be like, you know what? I'm going to buy 10 shares today. Is it 110?
Honestly,
120,
I'm not going to say. I'm not
even going to put 200 in this turd.
I'm not going to say.
Dude, if it gets to 120, I would get really excited about Tesla.
Well, I remember I said closer to 100. That's when I want my shares back at around 115, 110. That's when I want that double bottom. I want to see that.
Okay, Carlos, your thoughts?
No, I mean, if Chris feels that Tesla is most fundamentally compared to a car company, even with the other, their other shots on goal, then it's never going to be a good investment until he's the guy that's going to need to see it. He's going to need to see the bot walking around. He's going to need to see the FSD, see the robo-taxi network. But by then, I just say that the price will already be baked in. So
okay, so having said that, let's talk about one last thing on Tesla, then we'll move on to Netflix and the macro. This Elon new compensation package has been decided, $47 billion. If Tesla is $100 by June, which isn't that crazy to assume it could get there, he would have 5x the company since 2018, not 20x the way he did before when he was getting the compensation. Are you guys voting yes? And do you think he deserves all 47 billion of this money? If Tesla's at 100 to 150 by June.
I mean, I'll answer quick since no one's talking, but of course he does, because it doesn't matter what happened past the date that he was supposed to do it. It already happened. So this is retroactively meaning that he's accomplished what he said he would come to do. And then if the stock crashes afterwards, that's not the same situation. So I think he still deserves the money.
I think so too. I don't understand how this is even a question. A CEO made an agreement that the only way he would make any money is if he makes shareholders incredibly wealthy. And he did. I just don't see how this is even an issue. At this
But by the way, Rango has a good point. These are options, so he has to hold these for another 5 years, from what I was hearing as well.
He still has to hold it another 5 years. From
another 5 years after holding it for 5 years.
Yeah, after holding it for 5.
That's what I was hearing. Yep.
In my opinion, he's getting fucked.
He's aligned with shareholders here. If he gets.
Yeah, no, he deserves it. I mean, look, he did the impossible, and he deserves it. Just bottom line.
What about his ownership of the company? Did they settle that?
Yeah. That would increase it by 10%. I think he would have full, or he would get to that 25% that he wants if he gets this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I still don't see how it's an issue. I think that was just a legal hiccup that should have never happened.
I mean, this is good, by the way. We do want to incentivize him, because then Robotaxi 2027 seems like it's going to happen.
But it also is good because Elon specifically does sort of trend set in terms of CEOs. I'd love to see a bunch of other CEOs come out and do equally aggressive, ambitious compensation packages. I think that would be a great thing for other companies to adopt and have it all be public,
Okay, let's do this is actually the last thing on Tesla. Then we'll move on to the macro stuff. But Dan Ives here today said, because I think this M2 discussion keeps coming up, if Tesla skips the M2, it's basically like the iPhone skipping 10 generations of the iPhone and going straight from iPhone 15 to iPhone 25. He said if they don't, on the earnings call, particularly talk about the M2 being a realistic thing, look out below. You're basically on a cliff if you're a Tesla investor. Do you agree with that, or do you think the Robotaxi and M2 is the same thing and Dan Ives doesn't really understand what's happening?
No, he gets it.
Like, dude, he was on Yahoo Finance and he was just like, yeah, this Robotaxi bullshit's not happening until 2030. Like, we need to cut the
Well, look, even if
he sounded upset, dude, and Dan Ives is a nice guy. He doesn't usually sound upset.
My point, okay, let's think logically through this. Okay, 2027, let's say the Model 2 comes out and Robotaxi starts scaling. Let's say both things happen at the same time. Are you telling me in 1 quarter we're just all in Robotaxis? I mean, like, so honestly, what is the ramp up of that? It's longer than a quarter or a year. Yeah. So while that scales, it'd be nice if people can afford a car, a cheap $25,000 car, which also scales Tesla's business. And I know you called it a low margin business, but remember, they're going to sell full self-driving to some of those people at some point.
Yep.
So
yep.
There's a lot of money to be made by just releasing the car and then getting into full self-driving.
Carlos, your thoughts?
I think they'll make more. I think they'll make more money on the Robotaxi thing, and I think that's what they're betting on. Low volume ramping always starts with low volumes, and they'll be able to monetize those vehicles like crazy. The halo effect that's happening with the Cybertruck, if you look at it now, what's happening to sales, that times that by 1,000, I think. And once people start seeing the income that they're making, so I think initially it's going to be a mix between current vehicle owners and the dedicated vehicle. That's how I think it's gonna roll out, and that's what I think starts to create the momentum for it. So no, I'm not as bearish on it. I do think that they'll start selling it next year. I can't say I don't think they're gonna hold out selling it. I just think that they're gonna use this year when it's ramping to work out the kinks with the network, get people really interested in the car, get feedback from people, and then make the consumer version and get that out at some point next year.
Well, we heard it from Rango, a Tesla, employee. According to Elon, steering wheel is old tech.
He did call the car a horse carriage on Twitter.
He did. It'll be a joystick. It'll be like fucking.
Chris, any comments on this? If not, we're going to macro stuff.
Not really. I mean,
basically, do you think Robotaxi is a fantasy, or you think it's?
I guess we'll see. Balls to the wall. I guess we'll see when it comes out. I mean, I'm sure that there's limitations, but this is one of the things that I hope people. You don't have to be so early in the story that you literally sit there wasting time until that story becomes a reality. Like, here's an example. I think eVTOLs are going to be great. I think VTOLs are definitely going to be there, right? You know what eVTOLs are, guys?
Yeah, they're electric airplanes.
Yeah. I think to some degree, they're going to revolutionize city to city travel in certain regions, right? But if I had bought eVTOL companies and just sat on them for the last 5 years, I would have zero returns, if not negative 70, 80% returns the entire time. So the thing is, once there is a successful eVTOL company, that's when I can start getting in. Look at Uber, look at Lyft, look at all of these things. You didn't need to be in these companies right when they IPO'd. You could have waited a little bit, found out that, hey, this is a viable business model, done your analysis, and you got in, not at the absolute bottom, but you got in at a bottom, and you did really well, and you're going to keep doing really well on that company, right? So the thing is, I think a lot of times people are looking for the absolute bottom, and they feel like if I don't nail the absolute bottom, it means I haven't generated returns. I hate to say this, but sitting on underperformance for an extended period of time really negates your total return over a long period of time. That's why they say most people should just buy the index funds and just stick with them. But I'm digressing from the point. I think Tesla has tremendous potential. I have no doubt in my mind that this company has tremendous potential. But until I see that potential kind of being realized into the world, I'm going to stay out of it. I think that there's value in being in other parts of the market, not being in Tesla right this moment. So, Carlos, you said next year is when they're going to release the $25,000 car. 6 months ago, Cybertruck. 6 months before that, they're going to go to a point of sales model, and that's just going to, skyrocket EV demand. You see, the thing is, when you start looking for these one-off events to basically change the company's destiny in the future, that's when you know that there's something that's wrong. Like, you need to be fundamentally understand. You need to understand that, okay, what they're doing is working. They're able to capitalize on it, and they're moving in the direction where the consumers are moving to. So right now, I'm focusing on the consumers. The consumers are shying away from EVs, which is the main business. Robo-taxis and all this other stuff, in my opinion, is the same thing as the charging stations that were going to do battery swaps. You guys remember that? At one point, Elon demonstrated that. What happened to that?
10 years ago.
What happened?
It was like literally
No, I'm just giving as an example. What about the Tesla Semi? When are Tesla Semis going to be out there into the world? What about the V3 charging network? When is that coming out?
You know more about Tesla than me. I didn't know any of this shit.
He does shitpost a lot about Tesla for not knowing any shit.
So the thing is, like, a lot of these things are promises that give people hope and optimism, but the timelines that people think they're going to happen are a lot more compressed than real reality. To be honest, I'm actually looking forward to the Roadster. I think that is a car that if I really make it in the next few years, I actually want to buy a Tesla Roadster. Right?
I want to respond. I'm going to respond just because it's someone should respond.
But the superchargers, the V3 superchargers are already out.
Well, besides that, my response was going to be like, once again, it's just a different philosophy, Chris. And I understand that, by the way, because not all my money's in Tesla now anyway. So I understand that. But when me and Carlos were buying in early, I think 2018, I think both me and him were buying similar times.
Yeah.
I mean, we bought it for fundamental reasons, mostly not cash reasons, not cash flow reasons, but seeing vehicles on the road and seeing a future where there will be more of these vehicles. That's why we were buying. Nothing to do with full self-driving. I don't think me and you talked really too much about full
self-driving. Not a word.
Nothing to do with that.
Not even.
It was just literally seeing more Teslas on the street and saying, "Oh my God, this is like a real thing that's happening now. That maybe we should be involved." And then we had to wait until 2020, I guess, or in the middle of 2020, 2.5 years later, where I was down 50% because it fell from 300 to 175 or something like that. And I had to hold, I had to buy more, I had to DCA, I had to believe in the narrative, the fundamentals of it. And you know what? It still worked out, even in this market right now. So this is where I disagree fundamentally, that as the stock price and more hate is priced into it, it becomes a better deal, not a worse deal, because the future is still fundamentally good for Tesla.
Yeah, I think we're getting all this other stuff essentially for free, especially at this stock price. And it's fine. Like, I mean, what you're saying about like semi, the delays, et cetera, et cetera. What I'm saying is what they are trying to do is incredibly difficult, and they're trying to disrupt multiple companies in the industries at the same time. And what I'm saying is, you're not considering what Tesla is trying to do when you compare it to a standard or a car company. These other car companies are lowering their guidance, focusing on hybrids. I mean, they're basically not throwing in the towel, but they're severely weakening their own push for EVs. Meanwhile, Tesla is just continuing to ramp. There's no companies that have the sort of like that catalog of products in as many things, and also in the things that we're having in the things that are coming in the future than them. So this is why I don't think this comparison to these typical traditional auto companies makes sense. But ultimately, like we've had this conversation a million times, this is one of those things where we just need the story to play out because we don't fundamentally see the company the same way.
Well, the thing is, back in the horse and carriage days, obviously Ford came out. The vehicle was important, but it didn't take long until every company that was believing horse and carriages would stick around would be bankrupt. Didn't take that long. So the question is,
look at Fisker. I mean, look what's happening with Fisker. Look at Lucid. They both put in 52-week.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like when the paradigm shifts. So right now it's going to be EV and electric. Obviously, the paradigm is shifting. So we'll see if the old guard can catch up to it and actually, because the only game in town really is going to be Tesla right now and maybe some Chinese manufacturers, which will be sad if it's the Chinese manufacturers. So
there'll be one or two, like American car companies, but
which
real
one?
Quick, it looks like Israel has attacked Iran. Still speculation, but the market just got nuked. If you look at futures, all your stocks are red after hours.
Yeah, they attacked nuclear sites.
What happened?
It's not
exactly?
literally affirmed, but it's like everyone on Twitter speculating. I'm not seeing any.
Al Jazeera it's on.
Al Jazeera.
You go on the front page of Al Jazeera. Israel attack on nuclear sites to prompt tit for tat pursuing nukes Iran. Iran warns Israel that if it goes ahead with a retaliation for last week's attacks, Tehran will respond.
No, it's not on Al Jazeera's front page.
What is this?
It's not. This is the front page. They don't say where's the.
No, it's the first story that came up on the Google when I did Israel attacks Iran. Yeah.
Oh yeah, right here. Gotcha. Right here.
What is that? Is that when was this article written?
It literally just.
Oh no, so this can't be. You got to go to like probably Twitter.
They're saying they attacked a nuclear facility in Syria. That's what they're saying. The attack.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's the case, this is going to be a rough next few days at least.
Next few months.
All right, so that's the Tesla stuff. Let's move on to some macro stuff. Chris shared a really good video today about the Fed president talking. I want to share that, and then it'll help us get into discussion around where these rate cuts are coming. A lot of banks are coming out. Bank of America saying we're not getting cuts till 2025. So let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll talk more about the macro.
It's too high, and we need to get it to our 2% target. It's not as high as it used to be. So it used to be a whole lot higher, but we still have a ways to go. What I've expected for quite some time is that the pathway to 2% is going to be slower than people expect, and it'll be bumpy, right? So data never comes in so orderly that you don't have sort of a little like hops here and there. And sometimes I try to remind people, like when you were in high school or grade school and you did algebra and you tried to trace out a line, all the points come in, very few of them are on the line. Like some are going to be above and some are going to be below. And the more important thing to think about is the line still going where you want it to go? Today, the answer to that is still yes. But it's slow. It's not as steep a slope to our 2%. For me, that's okay, because the economy is producing a lot of jobs. I mean, we have a dual mandate, as I mentioned earlier. So if we're getting more people into work, getting wages, getting them paid good wages, those are all important things. And if that can happen while we are still seeing inflation move to 2%, I'm comfortable being patient, right? So right now, where our stance is, I think, is a restrictive stance. It will slow the economy down and eventually get us to 2%. But I'm not in a mad dash hurry to get there if all these other good things are happening. So as we
let's start off with Chris. When do you think we're getting these rate cuts?
Well, if Israel and Iran keep going at each other, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But you know what? I'm thinking about this now. I really think we need to stop funding fucking both sides by one, not sending any more money to Israel and putting up all the defense around them anymore, because this is getting out of hand. I mean, how long are we going to be big brother with the little brother attacking people, and then we have to kind of like come and save his ass? Like, seriously. Like, did Israel really need to do this right now? Like, tensions are high. So your job is what? Oh, yeah, you know what? Let's go and fucking attack another country again. And then when the other country attacks, it's like, America, please come save us. What the fuck is their problem at this point?
They have one of the strongest militaries in the world. Like I just don't see how.
Yeah, and before the people in the comments say Chris supports Hamas, like just please remember he's making a political economic point that I think the far majority of Israeli citizens were polled that 76% of them don't want an Iranian attack. So this is not Palestine versus Israel. This is like, dude, can we just like chill out?
This is a political elite probably in Israel saying, you know what, if we don't hit back, we're gonna look like we're weak. And it's all politics at this point. All of this shit is driven by politics, not even any. Like, this is the time where you should be both negotiating a fucking standoff. You're trying to figure out, okay, look, let's try to get away from fucking creating World War III, right? I mean, even I saw this RFK video today where he was talking about how Russia and Ukraine at one point almost had a deal. They were ready to sign a deal saying, look, you know, we're not going to do this anymore. And guess what happened? America calls in Boris Johnson, say, nuke that shit, get rid of that deal. Why? Because at this point, the fucking, the government's pretty much controlled by these fucking military contractors. You know, war is fucking good for business. And I'm tired, bro. I would never, let me tell you something. 15 years ago, served my country, did my job. Proud of my service the time I did it. But if my kid came to me today and says, Dad, I want to join the military. No, son, we're not going to do that. You know what? You want to serve in other ways, you go right ahead. But you know what? There's no reason why you should be fucking going out there to serve the interests of the fucking global elite. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Sorry.
There's a quote I read that was something like, war is a bunch of 18-year-olds killing each other for a bunch of who've never met each other, killing each other for a bunch of old men that they'll never meet, something like that.
I've heard that.
You know, I'm sorry to rant, but you know, I used to not understand when I was in my 20s. I was a lot more hot-headed, and I used to think like all these people that were anti-Vietnam protesters, especially the fucking veterans that came back and said that what we were doing was wrong. I was like, man, the reason we probably lost Vietnam is because of these fucking traitors right here. Until now, I'm a little bit older, and I realize, you know what? It's fucking pointless. These wars are fucking pointless. There's nothing to gain. All it is just serving serving the interests of the people providing the weapons. That's about it. It's fucking sad, man. It's fucking sad.
The silver lining is that hopefully a lot of this military conflict will eventually become more and more digital, right? Even things like humanoid bots, more digital forms where people won't have to die anymore. That's at least where it seems like it's going.
You must have not seen Terminator.
No, but see, the thing is, Carlos.
Like, I feel like that would get worse if we had the bots.
Yeah,
that's exactly. It becomes worse because at this point, the notion that you have to press a button and send someone to their death. If you take that away and all you're doing is sending drones to the other side.
Right, dude, but the difference is but that costs money. You see, that's the difference. They're like, how much?
But dude, that's why the military contractor be like, go ahead, press that button 5 more times. We'll build you more drones. Don't worry.
So Vitaly, what are your thoughts on what the Fed president said, which is that rates aren't coming for a while, and then Israel, Iran?
I think that's posturing, honestly. I think they're going to start this year. Maybe it's 1 only and not the 3, whatever. They're going to start. You guys, you guys are too young.Maybe all of you listened to Amit for 2 years, but 2018 was it, or 2017? A couple of times in the history, the Fed said, you know, they were raising rates. The market tanked. They said we weren't going to lower them. They've said that multiple times, and then they just switch on a dime and just lower them multiple times, especially in 2018. I remember that happened. And I think something similar is going to happen. They can't tell you when it's going to occur. That would be ridiculous of them to say that. So it's better that they make you think it's not going to happen, to slow things down as much as they can until they have no choice.
But they kind of give you hints on like the data points that they're looking at. I mean,
they're throwing both sides. It's like, yeah, it's happening. Oh, no, I think it's going to be delayed. It's just like both ways. They're playing the same game to make people a little bit confused.
Just don't see why, like, okay, I understand like the 2%, not 2.1, not 2.2, 2%. But if they just sort of relaxed it to somewhere between 2 and 3%, then maybe we can get back to business, you know? It's this hard line on 2%. Like that guy said, who was incredibly well-spoken, by the way. That guy, really well-spoken.
Yep.
He should do the meetings. But he's basically saying it's like to get to that last, whatever, 0.7%, it's going to be a lot harder than maybe even going from 4 all the way down here. So he's saying get ready for a lot of pain.
Chris,
I
do you
just
think?
want to add one other thing. 5% rates are not a lot. Okay. In the last 10 years, yes, that's a lot. Once again, I remember the time when mortgages were easily 7, 8, 9%, and nobody blinked an eye. Maybe that was the early 2000s or whatever, and we're in a different time, of course. But I think if rates are stabilized at this rate and not going up, like right now, if they're stabilized, I think the economy will do fine. It's when things are fluctuating, we don't know which way they're going, that people.
But
that
how do you
Wall Street
reconcile the
and people
debt?
are scared.
That's the problem.
What debt?
The interest we're paying on the debt with this 5% is.
It's called raise the debt ceiling. It's called. That's what it's called. It's
Don't worry about it. That's what it's
But I mean that's been the solution for whatever 50 years. So
They could just start buying some Bitcoin.
Look, I like high rates. Robinhood gets to keep giving a high APY. I'm all for it. Let's do 7%. Let's fucking do it, dude. Like, no, I'm just kidding. But Chris, do you think the Fed presidents are posturing? Because I think Vitaly has a point there that they postured in the past and they might be doing it again.
I don't think so. At this point, they've learned their lesson in that. And Powell, again, is probably learning his lesson again because he was a little too optimistic in December. And now he's got to backtrack a little bit saying, oh, well, you know what? Data is changing. We're data dependent again. Oh, the data is starting to look good. So I think at this point, the Fed is just actually going to have to be data dependent now and just go based on what they're seeing. And that's it. I don't think
they were winging it the last 30 years, I'll admit.
They're always winging it. That's just how it works. That's economic policy is just winging it, figuring out how to best manage the economy while you have an idiot in the White House. And that's Republican and Democrat. And I'm not saying Biden specifically, but that's what happens. I told you, both sides. The Republicans can't cut taxes enough and the Democrats can't spend on social programs enough. Like, it's literally both sides that cause the problem and blame each other, saying, no, you're the reason why everything is bad. That's about it.
What price do you think Tesla's at right now? Given what's going on.
Doesn't matter, man.
What do you think?
Now?
Yeah,
right now. Literally right this second?
Literally right this second.
140?
146.
There you go.
Robinhood's not doing any better. Palantir's not doing everything.
Well, no, everything is going to, we talked about this. I mean, it's time for a breather, and obviously some things are getting hammered more than others, but
Nvidia's 827.
This is actually part of the problem is that the Mag 7 have done so well that it can really only go down. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, all the money that was looking for a safe haven has found it in one of those, let's say 5 companies, because there's 2 that aren't doing very well. But man, I don't know. I just feel like we're teetering on the brink of a recession here, guys.
I don't think we're on the brink of a recession. I don't think that's the case. I just think if Israel didn't attack Iran right now, things would be,
did they actually attack? I don't see that.
Yeah, they did. Kevin's live with it right now. He's covering it.
Hold on. Okay. All right. Well, then good luck. We're fucked.
No, we're actually now. Granted, the question is, and Iran said if they attack, we're responding with weapons they haven't seen before. People are thinking that's a nuke. I don't think Iran has a nuke, but maybe
they're gonna take the glitter bomb from.
What if Russia gives them a nuke? Or so, like, imagine
Iran has
crazy, dude.
Iran.
Well, you guys are really throwing some crazy stuff out there.
Look, I'll be straight with you.
Okay, hold on. I got to address Rango real quick. Rango says, Amit, I think we're going to have a bad recession. My gut says this. Rango, you also said we were getting a cut in March. So I don't trust your gut, Rango.
You can't trust Tesla employees. This is
we can't trust Tesla employees. Yo, Rango was so positive we would get a cut in March.
It changes like every fucking day. It's like,
I agree.
So you got to revise your.
Chris left. He's going to get drafted onto the war now.
No, he's on his way to Israel to solve this.
All right, guys, we're not going to figure out geopolitical events. So what's the next?
No, Chris, what are you going to say? Go ahead, then we'll move on.
With respect to the,
you're muted.
Building a nuclear bomb, especially like the Hiroshima and Nagasaki type bombs. This day and age, it's not as hard as people think. Like, dude, countries like Pakistan have the bomb. Okay. And by the way, AQ Khan, I don't know if you guys know who AQ Khan is. Basically, he was like a Pakistani rogue scientist that sold nuclear weapon secrets to Iran and North Korea. So just because they haven't tested a full-on nuke doesn't mean they don't have nuclear weapons. Trust me, they probably have nuclear weapons. Literally, when it comes to a nuke, all it is the hardest part to a nuke It's just getting the
Uranium.
the fission. Yeah. Well, you need weapons grade uranium, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you need to actually use all these centrifuges to basically get to the isotope that you actually need. And then after that, you just put a shape charge around it, and boom, there you go. You got yourself a low yield nuke. It's not, like I said, it's not nearly the difficulty that people think it is. So the problem now is, with everything going on, will Iran use a dirty bomb or a nuke or something like that? I don't know. This is literally like,
why are we speculating? This is ridiculous. They're not. No one's doing this.
Dude, but imagine they did. Imagine they get a nuke.
This is how serious it is, that this is actually a conversation that you have to have. Because
I don't think we're being crazy to say Iran could attack back with a nuke.
I don't think.
Yeah, I think you are being crazy to say that.
I mean, look, it's probably not.
If they want to be wiped off the earth, then yeah, okay, that's not crazy. But they're not that stupid.
You're right. They aren't. Hopefully,
if you've watched, the thing is, if you've watched,
people who own land actually own large swaths of land, want to keep it. If you're talking about terrorists who don't actually have a home and hide in caves, maybe they would if they figured something out. But
yeah, but the underpinning,
these are the elite.
The underpinning of this war is religious, and that supersedes any of like the man-made.
Is it anymore? Is it anymore?
no.
That's a way different.
I think money supersedes all of this. So
is it Islam versus
religion.
Judaism? I don't know if it's just those. I think that's part of it, but I don't know if that's the core.
Fallout. Imagine we lived during that. Yeah,
I don't know what Fallout is, but
the show we talked about, the show Fallout.
Yeah.
Vaultec is Palantir. Remember all that?
Oh yeah, I'm still trying to finish the second Matrix. By the way, I'm 60 minutes into it, dude. The second Matrix sucks.
Yeah, it's
like it's
we had
so
the same
bad.
feeling in like 2005 or whenever it came
Dude,
out.
I'm so confused. Like why are there's all these people? Like I don't get it. I'm so.
It's because like you make a movie like that with so many groundbreaking sort of techniques and technology. The second movie just becomes, let's just do everything.
Yeah,
get out all of our ideas. And
it feels like Hunger Games. I'm like,
yeah, it's not as much about the story anymore. It gets better. I think 3 is pretty good because just even to know how the story ends, it's pretty good. But
nah, I mean, Fallout is better than both the last 2 Matrixes. So
one of the things about Iran not directly attacking Israel, I agree. I don't think that Iran would directly use a nuclear weapon on Israel, but best believe Iran could give a bomb to Hezbollah, could give it to a Hamas person and have it be a terrorist attack. All right. So don't think that they're above that. And I think there's a quote from the Peacemaker did you guys ever watch this movie from George Clooney? It's called Peacemaker. I'm not worried about the guy that has 200 bombs. I'm worried about the guy who has 1.
Yeah,
because that guy with 1 bomb with nothing to lose is far more dangerous than the country that has to answer for that nuke. So just, I don't know.
Inside humor. What vault are you going to? I'm picking 31, fellas.
Me too.
That's management. No, I'm killing it. I don't want to kill it.
All right, let's move on to something on a lighter topic. Netflix. So these guys crushed on their earnings. They had a good earnings, but they added 4 million more subs than expected, but the stock's down 5%. They beat on revenue, EPS. They had a really good quarter, 15% CAGR growth. That's amazing for a company their size. But, and it's not just me, I listened to a lot of people that felt this was the reason the stock is down. They said starting in Q1 2025, we will stop reporting quarterly membership numbers. Do you think the street's overreacting if that is the reason why they're down 5%? Let's start with Vitaly.
Remember when Tesla said we're stopping reporting some numbers? And Apple too, by the way. So anytime a company comes out with something like this, the stock has to react negatively. That's just the way it is.
And now nobody cares. I just think that they're sick of having the stock so susceptible to one specific metric, right? And they want the street to focus more on some of the other metrics that they're proud of. That to me makes
and the
sense.
street doesn't want to do that because then they have to think. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, like Tesla's going to come out on the call tomorrow and be like, "We're no longer going to report our gross automotive margins." And Gary Black's going to kill somebody.
Chris, thoughts on if Netflix dip is exciting or if this membership thing is really a sign that their business is not going to grow anymore?
So when you were talking about this on your stream, I wanted to come out of the screen and choke you.
Why?
Because
I know your argument, and I think your argument's still going to be wrong. Go ahead.
I already agree. Every time he streams, I feel that.
your argument that, oh, they're not going to report it because the number is going to be bad. No, they're just in a mature part of their business.
Disagree.
Where that, no, all right, well, disagree in just a second.
Bad argument.
They're at a maturity in their business cycle to the point where the minor numbers that come out give a false sense of progress. They do not want to give investors this false sense of progress, like, oh my God, we're slowing down because we didn't get this additional user numbers or blah, blah. Growth targets and projections are good until they don't serve a purpose anymore. And right now, all the user numbers are going to do is distort what's actually happening on the ground fundamentally at Netflix. I think they did the right move, which is now they're at a mature point in their business where margins are more important, where total revenue is more important, where operating income is more important, not necessarily the user numbers, just like Tesla, right? And just like Apple, all of these.
Wait, what do you mean just like so Tesla could stop reporting deliveries because they're a mature company and you would be like, yep, that just give me the operating.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Chris, are you actually saying that in front of 489
yes,
people?
Absolutely.
How
absolutely.
Is that?
All right, before we continue, breaking news. Shiba Inu is down 5%.
Wait, hold on. You're saying that Tesla could not report
All right, go ahead.
delivery numbers?
Yeah, they don't have to.
Chris, you don't have to be stubborn to make the argument. Like this, it's just not a good point. You want the delivery numbers by Tesla.
Why?
Okay, so
why? Tell me.
How much they sell?
They don't tell you how many cans of Celsius they sell.
That's not what I mean. I mean their actual the main metric of Netflix is memberships. Main metric of Tesla is deliveries.
No, their main metric is revenue. That's every company's main metric. Okay, the main metrics of most companies is going to be the revenue, how much they're spending on expenses, what they're doing in margin, and that's it. Okay.
So every company does not have to worry about so Robinhood doesn't have to tell me how many users they got. They can just tell me how much revenue they got. That's what you're saying.
Yes, because every user is going to have different revenue numbers that come out.
Come on, Chris.
Stop. I'm telling you. Yeah.
No, but I don't think that would work because say for example, you have one quarter where you raise prices but sell less volumes, and then another quarter where you sell more volumes but you lower the prices. They could be the same revenue, but they tell a fundamentally different story about what the company did that quarter. So I do think, look, when you get to the point where like the iPhones were so saturated that basically everyone has now on the third iPhone, yeah, I could say, okay, fine, right? But Tesla's still a one-off vehicle company. You're still selling them one at a time to individual.
Only 5% penetration.
And for Netflix, it's the same sort of deal. They stopped the password sharing. So now you know that these are, say, individual households, right? And you want to be able to track those numbers. Maybe they don't give it as much weight, but I do think that's
the thing I was going to say. And that's what I was saying on my stream. You can tell investors, hey, this is a stupid metric, but we're still going to report it because we value you as a shareholder. But in general, if we're getting people from India, they're not going to be paying $16 a month. So don't think that if we double the subscribers, it'll double the revenue. That's totally fine. That's transparent. That's not hiding numbers from me. Number two, they said they're still going to report it periodically. What the fuck does that mean? Every 90 days is pretty periodic. So I think that makes no sense. Number three, you can't believe the same things at once. If Netflix says, hey, we barely penetrated the global streaming market, there's so much place to grow. They're not a mature company like Apple that's like, or Facebook that's like, dude, we have 4 billion people. Like at this point, we don't have to tell you how many users we have. Netflix wants us to believe as investors or potential investors, there are so many more households to penetrate. And then you're saying, oh, but we're so mature, we don't need to give you the exact number. It's a contradiction. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all, Chris. So I think this is a bad sign by Netflix.
Yeah, I want to show you something that does matter. This is why the subscribers do matter. Here's the number of cable TV subscribers over the last couple of years. So we had 88 million in 2019, 2020, right? But if you look at the overall trend from like the inception, right? You go 4 million, you start going down. You realize that the cable TV subscriber peaked in 2016. You guys seeing this?
Yeah.
Right? So we're in a decline on the way down of the number. Now, so the reason why this number of Netflix subscribers is so important is because of this number. This is what this is the massive change that the entertainment business is into now, because this 76 million people is what supported the entire industry. Now, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and a couple of others, or maybe say HBO, are taking these 76 million people. Now, obviously, there'll be some that keep those boomers, people for like live TV, but the rest of it, you can see the writing's on the wall. We peaked in 2016. So we're going down from here, and there'll be a point where this as a service might cease to exist. So Netflix is taking this, and that's why it is good to see the subscriber numbers. At least for me, it could be because I'm in the business, but it is nice to see. Wow, we lost 16 million people, 21, 22, 2022. Let's see what 23 and 24 is, right? And if those numbers are going to Netflix or some of the other companies.
It's nice to see, but the problem is when it comes to business, you know what? When you try to report it out, let's say one quarter you don't have as many subscribers, and the next quarter you have a lot of subscribers, and the next quarter you have a little bit of subscribers, and then the quarter after that you have more. You see how all that wonkiness can distort things in the market and cause a lot more issues. So you don't want that. You want to give good guidance, good projections on revenue. It's much more easier to do that than try to every quarter hit or miss. Oh, you didn't make your growth numbers this quarter.
But do you know that what all of those companies go through? There was a great video. If I knew we were going to talk about this, I would show it to you. There's a great video that talks about the churn of these companies. These companies may gain and lose the same person 3 or 4 times in the year, depending on what they've got in their libraries. So they work very hard to retain people, and that's actually part of the problem, is that they're constantly having to reacquire the same freaking customer. And that's why it is part of their story, because subscribers, if you look at it, someone had it laid out of like all the major companies, and the average people bounce in and out of different services throughout the year. And so it does have an effect on their bottom line, because to your point, if the revenue is the biggest thing, if they lose a couple of subscribers because the new show is on Amazon, that quarter they're not going to do as well.
All right.
I just want to say one thing. I think what they're doing is setting up for not this year, but maybe 2 years from now, when they know they'll have an issue. Do you know what I mean? So they're probably still growing rapidly and still expanding into new territories. But in 2-3 years, even they can see that they've got it, most of the people on Netflix, and they don't want to be subject to that number. So they figure take the pain right now when the stock is high.
But that's when it turns to a value company. Would you not agree?
I don't know. Apple still ended up basically 10xing since they stopped.
Apple sells products and services. It's a little bit different.
Well, Netflix is expanding into different territories. I know people don't take their gaming thing seriously, or their Disney-like products that they're doing, but if something hits, then that's also a revenue grower. And another thing Netflix did, which I just paid for more, they started doing ads. I don't know if anybody noticed this. They said in your tier, you have to upgrade. I forgot what it was, but I forgot if I was the bottom tier or whatever. So I paid the extra $7 in the last couple of months to avoid the ads. So the lower tier, the $10 tier, whatever it was, now is a $20 tier or a $25 tier to avoid the ads. So that's the way they're growing their revenue. That's my point, that they know they're going to have to switch to this model of like increasing prices, other services, gaming, whatever it is.
A lot of those companies are have found that the free version with ads is making them a lot of money. They're doing really well with those.
All right, so
but if you're paying $7, $8, $9, $10 more, and then you want HD streaming for an extra $5 on top of that, I think that's more than the ad model.
All right, so the market's tanking. Like, this is kind of like COVID.
You guys can't pay attention to news right away, especially after hours. It's just not valid. Wait for tomorrow. Hopefully, everyone's not just selling.
You're muted. You're muted.
You know what is holding? Bitcoin.
No, it's not. Bitcoin's down 3%. What are you talking about?
3%. Dude, dude,
Bitcoin's down $1,000.
And this should happen.
Dude.
And the halving is tomorrow. Speaking of which, do you guys want to do anything for?
First, I'm looking at it right now. It's 0.48% down. Where are you seeing?
No, you got to get on Robinhood, buddy. S&P's 493.
In it on TradingView. What's the current price of Bitcoin?
3%.
I'm seeing
Bitcoin 61,000 or whatever.
180.
Okay, let's get one update from Chris, and then we'll just talk halving. Chris, any reaction to this S&P collapse? You think tomorrow is really going to be bad, or what do you think's going on?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It all depends on the severity of the strikes, and then all the posturing and all the media, how they cover it, and all this other stuff. So it really has to.
This is what I had to ask you. This is what Rango. Why is the 10-year tanking? That's what Rango kept saying in the chat. The 10-year should be rising, right?
No, I saw something about that.
That's tanking like right now is what I'm saying. 10-year right now is 4.54, dude. Why is it going down? It was at 4.7 this morning, 4.67.
Means that more people are buying treasuries because there's instability.
Because
people see that equities might actually be a lot more challenged. So people are just buying more treasuries, right? But then again, what are you talking about? Like right now? Like,
yeah, look, there's on the screen, 10-year. There's a 10-year. It's going down.
It's 10 cents. It's whatever, man. This is like a small amount. Like, I
No,
don't know
but
why
still, you would imagine it goes up.
Dude, every 0.25% this guy retweet something.
Oh.
Jem has a valid point. Chicken Genius says maybe be the bottom.
Dude, I love Chicken Genius.
There you go. What are you guys worried about?
The chicken is smoking.
Oh boy.
You know.
Okay, so let's talk.
Oh
about
my God, Ame, it's rising again. Look, it's only
Wait, it's
it's only
rising? Oh
down
my
by
God,
$7.
$4.
because they report the subscriber numbers on the 10-year. That's why it's going up. That's what the fuck.
They need, you know what? They need to invest in robo taxis on fucking Netflix.
All right, not Chris. Carlos, how much Bitcoin did you sell yesterday?
Oh, I just started trimming a little bit of the Ethereum position because I'm following the charts. Actually, we should, imagine if you could pull it up.
Ironically, Kathy Wood bought a shit ton of Ethereum today.
That was
What, did she buy ETH? I mean,
No, she
ETH
bought ARC Z,
idea.
which is her ETH fund.
Oh, she bought her own thing. She
Oh,
has, her
well,
own, she has a Ponzi scheme going.
she's doing what Sale is doing. Then she's gonna sell. She's gonna.
But she hasn't bought this shit in like
buy her
years,
own
dude.
shit.
She hasn't bought her own shit in years.
Oh my God.
No, I
Have we learned not to do anything Kathy does at this point?
She's buying a lot of Tesla too.
Before you bring up the ETH chart, so I was using my Sony Bravia and the TV.
What's that? What's that?
TV. Okay, I know you don't have a real TV at home,
Oh, it's a TV?
but the interface actually really sucked and it was slow. And guess what I ordered today? It came in like in a few hours. A Roku. I think Kathy Wood has a point.
No, Roku's a really good TV, dude. It's just a stupid.
It's
stock, in my
it's
opinion.
faster, it's better, it's speedier. I like their interface. It actually does have a lot of better features than like the TV built-in stuff. But anyway, that was just an aside.
Okay.
Can you ban Rangu from the chat, please? He said Roku sucks.
At the Apple TV. Yo, he's such an Apple fanboy, dude. Apple TV sucks.
Yeah.
Okay,
I love
so
Apple TV. What's wrong with you?
So why are you selling ETH?
I sold ETH because we saw a technical indicator that we haven't seen in over 2 years, where ETH against Bitcoin as a ratio broke down. It's at a level now lower than it has been in 2 years. And typically when that's happened, ETH drops another 30 or 40%. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to just pull some off the top. And if need be, I'll buy it back when it tanks. And if not, I'm fine. Just taking a little bit off the top. I've been talking with Vitaly about this. I am not so sure that ETH. I still think ETH's going to perform really well, but I'm not so sure anymore that it's going to be able to do what we think it's going to do. There's just too much. Bitcoin is just too dominant right now. I don't know. We'll see. They're talking about an ETF, and that might help. But without that, I just see Bitcoin being the star this year.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a reference to something that you guys will be very proud that I know.
How
about.
fucking crazy is this that it's a day away? This is fucking awesome.
In 23 hours, is this gonna be like Y2K?
No, it's gonna be nothing.
I was alive. I knew that.
It's just gonna be. It's gonna be nothing.
No, but like, is it gonna go up? Because I'm in this shit for this stupid fucking Bitcoin thing to go up now. So is it time for it to finally go up? Because I'm getting kind of annoyed at this point.
What are you asking?
No,
we got 23 hours before it goes up, right? Like
he wants it. He wants it to double. He thinks the halving means he's going to double.
Dude, literally halve. Like it's supposed to.
So I just want to point out,
our portfolio is going to get cut in half.
This is the only halving where we have hit all-time highs before the halving.
It's never happened. Yeah.
So we're already front running a lot of the movement. So if we pause for 3 months, that wouldn't be a shocker, by the way.
Just tell me, is it going up or down tomorrow? That's all I care about.
I think Bitcoin's going down over the next month, if that's what we're talking about. 3 weeks, month, whatever it is. It's not just like one day event. It doesn't just get priced in immediately. That's not how this works.
Carlos, are we going up or down? Can you give me better news than fucking?
Okay. And then if I have to,
can you say the opposite, Carlos?
Like, dude, I've been tracking this stupid, dumbass crypto nonsense that is not useful for anything.
Look, I needed to go down because I sold out of Hood too early. I sold out of Hood too early. I need it down to 14 where I sold. So,
like, dude, I've come to the realization I don't give two shits about Bitcoin. I just want it to go up. That's it. And so just Carlos, make this thing go up, please.
Bitcoin's going to go up. What I really think is going to happen is we'll probably tank right after the halving. And I think as the weeks progress, now this is again caveating this whole war. I don't know how that's going to have an effect, but in normal circumstance, I would expect a bit of a relief rally that will actually break that all-time high of 73. We might even see 80. Jesse thinks we'll see 90. But when that happens, then I think we capitulate for a little while, couple months. I think we got to cool off for a couple.
I don't think we're going to 90 until after the summer or after the summer.
Remember? I mean, but it's hard to say because of the effects of the war. Because this war with Ukraine honestly hasn't.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
We're doing fine. But if we have a serious problem in markets because of the war, it could be longer. You know.
So PG says Amazon 175. I don't think Robinhood is reliable after hours. I understand why you feel that. Ironically, the volume on Robinhood is in the hundreds of thousands after hours. If you go to your Robinhood app, just scroll down, it'll have a tab that says overnight. So you can literally see how many shares of Amazon are traded. I can't check it because my phone's dead and it doesn't show on desktop, but I'm assuming it's probably tens of thousands. It's been a reliable metric to track the pre-markets for the past 6 months. So I think Robinhood will describe how the market will react tomorrow. Chris, any thoughts on this Bitcoin halving?
I could care less about Bitcoin. We were supposed to do an episode on commercial real estate.
Let's talk while you're here. Sure. Carlos and Vitaly might leave. I'll stay on for another 30 minutes. If you want to talk. I'll hear
I do want to point out Facebook Marketplace is pretty amazing. I'm selling something. I posted it today, literally within an hour, just messages coming in. It's kind of crazy.
No, okay. Be careful, dude. I did that. There's a lot of scammers. They're
going to have to scam me out of this roof rack for the car somehow.
I almost sent the guy $600 until I looked at his profile. I was like,
wait, I'm selling something. Why would I send them money?
And what's the deal with all the...
Why would I send them money? They have to say, I'm a scammer.
Actually, that's what happened.
What's the deal with all of this?
To test his Zelle. That was the scam. Is like, I need to test my Zelle.
That's funny.
And I was just like, okay, am I supposed
to? You see now how you got to do all that tax? Like you literally have to pay taxes on the stuff that you sell on Facebook.
It wasn't like that.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. Yeah, you have to freaking. When I sold, what did I sell? Oh, I sold my old computer. I sold the old iMac.
What do you mean? They send you a 1099?
Yeah, dude, you gotta freaking. Yeah, you gotta pay taxes. You gotta pay tax. And I'm saying, I bought the computer. I paid taxes, sales taxes, and I bought it with money that I paid taxes on. It's mine.
Well, that's
if I sell it to someone,
works, man. But
if I sell it to someone now, and I give them the computer, now I have to pay. I was like,
whoa! Iran issues a nuclear warning to Israel.
What?
Iran said that it may have grounds to review its nuclear doctrine if Israel targets its atomic facilities. So this is not like it's still developing.
This is not bullshit. This is the thing. This is not bullshit. And I don't know. Is this a distraction tactic?
Oh boy.
In an election year?
Dude, there's so many things I want to do. I haven't even finished the Matrix that came out 2 years ago. That was so shitty. I haven't even watched that one.
You don't need to. You're living in it.
All right, Chris, are we staying on for 30 minutes talking commercial real estate? I'm sure people will stay. If not,
yeah, another time, dude. Another time. Yep.
Monday. Why don't we just lead with that? After the war, not
so
with the war, not with the war. Let's lead with the commercial real estate.
Do we want to do?
If we're around in our
if we're around on Monday,
we make it till Monday.
I'm going to call it now. There is not going to be a nuclear war. All right. I guess hit me up in the comments if I'm wrong.
Dude, if you're wrong on this, you're worse than Kramer. We can never
hit me up in the comments
ever.
Inverse Vitaly as the planet is exploding.
Right. If I'm wrong, you're all dead. It won't matter.
Let's end it on this. And when you guys leave, I might stay on for like a couple minutes just to talk, and we'll talk about this war stuff. But what's one thing you want to do before you die from the nuclear war?
Go camping. You motherfuckers don't respond. All right, I fucking called all three of you.
I said
Vitaly finally got
July.
back to
We
me.
can go camping, dude.
No, you're like, whenever July. You know, Vitaly's like, I got work.
Okay, Chris. If we go camping, we need a router because if I don't have Wi-Fi, I will not survive. So as long as we have, you can promise me right now in front of 500 people,
we have going camping is you don't bring this shit, bro.
The point of going camping is there is no point if there's no Wi-Fi, dude.
I think Chris is planning to murder at least me, if not all of you.
Man.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it in July, dude. We'll go fucking.
He's like, I don't want you to have phones. Okay.
We would literally
No
be going in the
GPS.
fucking hottest month of the year.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Okay, so let's go in fucking September then, or something.
That's the problem.
Right now,
that out. Yeah.
We can't go during the middle of a nuclear war, Chris. We can't go right now.
We should go during nuclear winter.
Okay, what's one thing you want to do before you guys die from Iran's nuclear war?
Oh boy.
I want to lose my virginity, dude. That would be
Yeah, that would be good.
You've heard a lot about
You,
it.
you mean the internet losing your virginity over the internet is not good?
That'd be helpful. I want to do that one time.
Well, I'm gonna lose my virginity in 10 minutes, so I'll see you guys later.
All right. If you guys want to, I'll stay on for a little bit. You guys can.
All
Leave.
right, peace.
I lost mine already today, so
Okay. Yeah, okay. Good. I'm happy for you guys. All
I want to
right,
do a line of coke. That's what I want to do.
Now, honestly, dude, I want to do that too, but I'm too scared to do that. It's scary, dude.
I want to do a line of coke. I want to do all the hard drugs. Like if once I get to a certain age and I know that that's it, like I'm terminal, I'm not going to live anymore. Like I'm done. Bro, I'm trying every hard
mushroom
drug.
DMT for breakfast.
I don't like just I will snort cocaine off of a hooker's ass. Like I'll be like in my wheelchair, geriatric, you know, and
he's
just
gonna
figure that out.
He's gonna just copy. You're gonna do everything Hunter Biden did. Do it better. Who wore it
Pretty
better?
much, but I'll do it in my old age.
Who wore it better? All right, guys. I'm gonna jet. Do we want to do anything tomorrow for the
dude? If nothing's gonna happen, then it's gonna be a boring stream. When the clock strikes 12, it's like
no, it doesn't work that way. It's not necessarily at 12. It's the 200 and I think it's the 200,000th block. So
what time does that? So I have Pound Your Weekly at 11, so I can do before 11. But I just need to know.
Let me. Well, 11 your time is like
so
crazy early here. I'll check and see if they know exactly when that 200th block would be getting 200,000.
Isn't all this blockchain shit public? They should know when the fuck.
Yeah, like you have to know the exact block, and then you can calculate because it's one block every 10 minutes. You can calculate the exact.
So what the exciting thing is going to be as soon as there's the halving. Like that hour after is where people are going to really see, does it do anything? At least,
honestly, tomorrow's the reckoning day for the miners.
Dude, how crazy is it? We're going to have a war.
Say it halves at 11 a.m. What that means is that at 10:50, someone got paid a certain amount for that block reward, and for the next one at 10, it would be half as much for the same work. So that's what they're going to be.
So wouldn't that be really bearish?
Oh, Peyton House is saying it's
miners?
almost dead on. Great. Say again?
Wouldn't that be like really bearish for Bitcoin miners?
Yeah, in the short term, it's horrendous for them. But since how it typically works is they stop selling. They've stopped selling a while ago, and they've worked on other ways. They've actually increased their Bitcoin holdings. That's what a lot of them do leading up to the halving. They increase their Bitcoin holdings and stop selling, right? So that when the halving comes and that explosion in price happens, they're able to realize those gains.
Yeah, but doesn't that mean that there'll be more Bitcoin on the market post halving because they'll have to sell to settle up their costs of operating?
Well, to an extent, yeah.
Right. But now imagine the price went up. Say the price doubled at that point, right? So the price doubled. You're also selling into the market.
What you're saying is,
go ahead.
Sorry.
What I'm saying is, if let's just say a Bitcoin is now $100,000, and let's just say that you need $100,000 to fund your operations. Be pre-halving, they would need to sell 2 Bitcoins on the open market. Now they're only going to need to sell 1. So there's overall less volume in that sense at the same fiat levels. Does that make sense? And they prepare for it. The thing is, these miners prepare for it up to a year in advance. They start to prepare for it so that they can fund their operations as Bitcoin moves up.
Okay.
And you'll see that, and their fees too. I mean, their fees are crazy.
The only one that's going to survive is CleanSpark, dude. I think the other guys are fucked.
I mean, I'm deep in CleanSpark. I got shares. I got some calls. Actually, going to pick up some more calls, but not trying to go too crazy right now, especially with this. We'll probably get some great deals on this stuff tomorrow.
Oh boy. All right, if you guys want to dip, I'll be on for a little bit.
Yeah, all right. We'll just play it by ear. We'll see. Maybe just go live for like an hour or two and shoot the shit.
You gonna talk about the Iran thing?
Dude, I don't have anything. I don't know what to fucking talk about. I'm gonna look at what Kevin.
I don't even know either. I'm just like,
we're gonna stream Kevin shit and see what. I just want to see what the fuck he's saying because he doesn't know what the fuck's going on either. He must be
put it on for a minute.
Yeah, he must be. Yeah, he's watching.
All right, then I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
All right, see you.
Bye.
What's going on here?
House.
I'm not even
bacteria. My allergy symptoms are
kind of parked military vehicles. Sometimes we can, though, as we saw over in the lower location. Let's do a search here again. As we saw here we could see multiple helicopters, military helicopters parked. So we think it would be any of these 3 potential targets. So that would be the Isfahan International Airport, the military airbase here, or the University of Isfahan. Again, the goal of Israel, the stated goal, was not to hurt individuals, but instead to target sites within Iran. Again, now waiting for a potential response. Let's listen in again.
Okay, I have YouTube TV as well, so let me pull up my YouTube TV because he's just watching the same shit.
Right.
And see if
Matt,
there's
Matt
any...
Wallace, everyone's favorite account on X, posted Israel just launched a massive attack on Iran and is rumored to have hit critical nuclear facilities, which could cause radiation leak, to leak out into the world.
Some Hiroshima shit, dude. That's some
cool.
Holy shit.
Not cool. Okay, here's the thing. Oil prices have spiked after Iran attacks.
Yeah, I mean, that was down to
it went from 82 to 80. It's not that much, it's 85. But that is what's typically triggered the recession, as a spike in oil prices. I posted that the other day. There's a great account to follow. I think it's called Game of Trades, like Game of Thrones, and he was talking about the things that caused the last couple of recessions. So yeah, I don't want it to be true, but I feel like this is all...
Well, where's the market right now? Are we recovering or are we still falling? Because I think it's not as bad anymore. Yeah, we're recovering a little bit. It's slightly. S&P is at 4.9. No, it's still down. It's still down. Yeah, it's
just
still
share this for like a hot minute. This is to do with the yield curve. I posted this a while ago. So good insight. This is a great video. I guess if you guys get a chance, you should watch this. So the United States yield curve, here it is, inverted. Here's the time that it's been inverted. We've now been inverted for 511 days. 5 of the 6 times, the last 6 times, a spike in oil prices triggered a recession whose length was proportional to the time that the yield curve was inverted. Then you can see here's all of the times that we had so here we are now. We've been here 511 days. And it looks like we're seeing a spike in oil. We'll have to see if it's substantial enough. The max that markets have rallied after an inversion is 657 days back in 2007, which would mean that we would have 146 days left until the party's over. So basically saying like the most that markets have ever rallied after an inversion is 657 days. If we take that, we're already at 511. That would mean that we have 146 days left before.
Dude, the thing about the inversion, though, is even the guy who came up with this theory has like said that he doesn't know if this is fully correct. He's been right historically that when the yield curves invert, there's a recession.
Well, no, every time that the yield curve inverts, that something triggers a recession. I think there was only one time that the yield curve inverted and we didn't have a recession.
I do think that for some reason maybe this oil does have to crash and burn at some point. And 2025 is the time where it does because there's too much hype this year.
I mean, you cannot print 40% of all the money that's ever existed in like a few years and expect to get it back down to 2% and then everything's just fine. I mean,
but take the opposite of that. What if it's so crazy we did that we somehow avoid the recession as like a crazy response to the craziness, like too crazy is like, and then
I don't know. I don't see that. I mean, there's like fundamental financial mechanics at play here, and you can dance around it as much as you want, but at a certain point, it comes due, right? We're already spending more on interest payments than we are on the military budget. So fast forward 5 years, right? What do you think that looks like?
Whenever I think about our debt and our spending, I literally think like America's gonna collapse. Now I know we're the best in the world. It's
Bitcoin. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but like that, you need.
But no, I agree. Bitcoin is the answer. But the problem is, and Scaramucci, he was on CNBC today. He had a great, like, it's not performing as a fucking hedge, dude. It's performing with growth stocks. It performs with the NASDAQ.
Bitcoin doesn't perform. This is the thing. It's a money pool. It is a money pool. The value of stocks go up and down.
If liquidity dries up in a recession, Bitcoin's, you know what I'm saying? Like that's
what's missing is the narrative. We need to go through enough of these where Bitcoin is more resilient than some of the other assets that people run to, and then it slowly gets a reputation for that, and then it will act as that. The market cap is just not big enough. That's like saying I'm expecting Apple to be a hedge against inflation. It's like $2-3 trillion, but you need gold. You need 10, 12, 15 trillion dollars.
But there's a reason gold is up on this Iran shit and Bitcoin's not. Like I think that's a clear indication that Bitcoin is not.
Bitcoin is still not seen as the world's reserve. It's still not seen as that. So it takes time. But I think as more of these other ETFs come online, as some of these other countries, especially countries that have access to like cheap electricity but may not be as developed, right? Those companies would benefit greatly by converting themselves to Bitcoin and using some of their cheap energy to help mine this stuff. As that happens, it takes time. But I do think eventually that's the way out of it, because Bitcoin is really fucking hard money. And if you just transfer all the fucking debt into Bitcoin,
Oh boy, dude. Could you imagine if this is like a COVID level Black Swan event? Like,
I hope it's not. I think we've been patient. We waited long enough, and that wasn't even really like a Black Swan event. When you really think about it, we could have handled it, and we could have just been business as usual. Like all the stuff that we did and everything, that the response to it was completely unnecessary. So I hope we don't have an actual problem from a fake problem, or not a fake problem. You know what I mean? But one that we over exaggerated. That being said, my man, I'm gonna jet. I'm gonna go say what's up to the kiddos and look up some of this stuff when I'm done. And we'll see if we get on tomorrow. It'd be great to hop on for a little bit. We did. I talked to Jesse about doing it. He's probably going to be going live, so we'll see if we can find a time.
All right. We'll talk to you later. We'll talk tomorrow.
Peace.
All right. So I'll be on for a little bit. Gold is up right now. Gold futures are up 1%. So the market's buying gold right now. June says, IDK, if you guys follow seismic activity, but the Earth has had a lot of activity lately. There are several major earthquakes predicted in the coming days. Asia and Southern Europe are possible. The reason we've had so much seismic activity on planet Earth is because I had Taco Bell for the past couple of weeks. And you know, you guys know, after Taco Bell, you know, there's some seismic activity in at least in my stomach. So that's been the main reason for that. But no, I hadn't heard of that. I really hadn't heard of the seismic activity. Races, I hate you. Dude, what the fuck is going on? What type of world are we living in where this is actually happening? Like, this is like, oh my god, dude. The Lord is coming. Yeah, man. Maybe like let's see what CNN is saying, and then I'll try to see what else is going on here. But yeah, let's try to get some facts on what is actually happening.
Nick, thank you for all of that. Please stand by for us. We do have to continue to emphasize that at this moment, there is very little information that we know about what is happening inside of Iran. Iran is not a place where there's a lot of information that comes out, but we do know, according to some semi-official news sources inside of Iran, that some explosions have been heard near the city of Isfahan. That is in the sort of central western part of Iran, south of Tehran as well. I want to bring in now former DNI, Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper. Director Clapper, this is a very serious moment as we wait to find out exactly what has happened here. The reports, as of right now, of explosions are obviously not in a vacuum. It's in the context of this intense counterattack by Iran on Israel over the weekend. The United States had been trying to push retaliation off. Do you see indications tonight that those efforts ultimately failed?
Well, you know, as you indicated, Abby, first report's never quite accurate, or certainly in this case, complete. But if the inferential evidence that we have so far is accurate, it would appear that Israel has retaliated, and which we knew was, you know, when the question of whether is a question of when. We do need more clarity on what the targets are and the nature of damage done, were there casualties, et cetera. I think there are two major questions that the president will look to his national security team for. One is to intelligence. Okay, the Israelis have apparently attacked Iran. How will the Iranians retaliate? And secondarily, that's a question for the intelligence community. And then from a policy perspective, we had stated that we would not support an attack by Israel against Iran. Well, will we support Israel when Iran counter retaliates? So we could be in for, you know, a tit for tat that could rapidly get out of control. So I
think that's what everyone's concerned about, right? This idea that if they strike back, how hard do they strike? And then look, if they strike Israel back and Israel says, oh, we have to strike you guys back again, it's a war. Like, it's a full out war at that point. And then do the big boys like Russia, China, and the US get involved in this? And like, does it become bigger than what it is right now?
This is, you know, a pretty serious turning point. I had commented earlier that, you know, it looks like the Iranians crossed the Rubicon by attacking or attempting to attack Israel proper. Well, the other side of that Rubicon appears now has been crossed by Israel. So, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? The question of the hour. It just so happens that the CNN interviewed the Iranian foreign minister just 2 hours ago, live on this air. I want you to listen to what he told Aaron Burnett.
Our response to the Israeli regime was limited and stayed within a minimum of frameworks. We will not continue. However, in case the Israeli regime embarks on adventurism again and takes action against the interests of Iran, the next response from us will be immediate and at a maximum level. It will be decisive.
As a trained intelligence official, when you hear that pretty absolutist language, it will be immediate and at a maximum level. It will be decisive. What do you hear?
Well, I take him at his word. I think, right now the Iranian regime is very hard line, more so than perhaps in Iran's history. And so I take him at his word. I think they will respond in kind. And of course, the question is, how can this be de-escalated, if it can be at all? But I take seriously what he's saying, and I believe the Iranians will respond. And I don't believe they can't stand another embarrassment like the first attack, where they mounted this massive attack, which essentially was completely ineffective.
Director Clapper, please stand by for us. I want to go live now to the Pentagon, where Oren Lieberman is there standing by. Oren, anything you're hearing right now from military officials in this country?
Not at this point. Right now, U.S. officials are being very quiet here. We haven't gotten confirmation or information about what they're seeing in this case, but I certainly agree with James Clapper that it's difficult to see this very much so as anything other than Israel's response, which had been promised by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, by Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. So it's difficult to see the situation we're playing out right now, with reports of explosions in Isfahan, Iran, as well as some explosions in Syria and Iraq, as anything other than the Israeli response that they had been promising. A few interesting points to make here. Over the course of the past 6 months, we have seen Israel openly talk about some of its strikes in Lebanon, a smaller number in Syria. Here, it seems, if this is indeed Israel once again choosing to be quiet. And this is a policy they had followed for many, many years, not talking about actions and strikes that they would carry out in Syria, sometimes in Iraq. There were a number of reasons for that. One of those was simply not to be seen as boasting or bragging about an attack, not to add insult to injury. So potentially Israel once again following that policy right now, aware of not only how sensitive the entire situation in the region is, but also the desire of the United States not to see the situation escalate anymore.
I find that hilarious, too. They're like, Israel's being quiet and not claiming responsibility because they're concerned about how sensitive it is. If they actually attacked, allegedly, what do you mean concerned about how sensitive it is? Okay, so let's ask this question to people in the chat. Yes or no, Israel should have retaliated against Iran? Yes or no? Yes or no, Israel should have retaliated against Iran? Bitcoin is at 60,192. Bitcoin's down 3%. And the S&P has, what's his name? Crossroads says 491 right now. Yes or no, we should have retaliated against Iran for the attack last Friday? What do you think? We have like a few yeses. The majority are no's. The majority are no's. Biden said don't, and Israel said take a hike. Yeah, basically. By the way, it's not just Biden. France called Benjamin Netanyahu. Germany called them. The UK. Everybody called this dude. 76% of Israelis, the Times of Israel reported, don't want this war in a poll or a retaliation. And again, it's still allegedly because they haven't spoke up about this. But if they did it, then they said fuck everybody, and they did it. You're leaving out why Iran hit Israel. Well, yeah, that is true as well. Now, there was a consulate attack in Syria from Israel. which Iran responded to. Again, Iran didn't just strike them out of nowhere. I hope everyone knows that. Iran, they struck them because Israel hit them as well. And that's why Biden also, if Iran did this out of nowhere, I think Biden would not have been like, oh, just chill out, right? Like you like if someone hit the United States out of nowhere, we wouldn't chill out. But this was a response, and it was a military response. It wasn't on civilians, which that doesn't make it that much better, but at least, you know what I mean? Like if we're looking at some bright side, this was a response. And so that's why Biden and the West were just like, hey, Israel, you got your punch, they got their punch. Thankfully, from what I understand from the Times of Israel, no one died in Israel. There was one girl who was injured. Outside of that, no one actually died from these attacks. Why do you have to attack them again? Why do you have to do it again? Now, and it's not subjective or political of me to say that the regime of Israel's government is far right wing. That's not me saying it. That's the Times of Israel. I mean, everyone knows Benjamin Netanyahu is definitely not moderate or liberal, especially in his foreign policy. I mean, he is a right wing president, right? He's right of center when it comes to Israeli politics. Same thing with Trump. He's right wing as well, right? We can objectively say those things. So his administration and his war cabinet have been pretty steadfast on how they're going to approach foreign policy. And that's why Biden was like, dude, you guys got your punches, they got their punches. No one's right, no one's fully wrong, but like, let's end this. Israel said no. Now, to go to Israel's perspective, the reason they said no is that they did not want to look weak if Iran attacked them and they didn't respond. I get that. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think everyone here can understand that you can't just let your sovereignty be attacked and not respond. The question becomes, given the tensions already going on in Palestine and that you guys also hit them as well before they attacked, did you need to do this one? That's the question. Did you need to do this one? And that's the complicated part about all this. That is the complicated part about all this. A lot of it maybe has to do with ego as well. Yeah. Let me read some. Bitcoin is $17 away from below 59,000. So I'll pull that up in a second. Let me see some other stocks on Robinhood. Oh, now I have my phone. I can check you guys. So again, if you guys have Robinhood and you go to the app and you look at the volume underneath a ticker, so someone was asking, is it reliable? It's pretty reliable to me, dude. And this is another reason why Robinhood is decent to trade on, because you can manage your position right now. Like if I wanted to sell something, I could sell something right now, whereas on other brokers, you can't necessarily do that. So the overnight volume on Amazon, someone's asking about Amazon, 60,000. See that right there? Now, I hate that this is the situation it takes to mitigate risk, but theoretically, if I had a shit ton of Amazon and I wanted to sell some Amazon, like I could because of this overnight market thing, but at least it gives us a proxy on what's happening. Palantir's overnight volume, 173,000. By the way, a pre-market volume is not like millions of shares, like on an earnings day or a news event. Then it's like pre-market volume. And I look at this every morning from 4 a.m. to 9:29. It's a couple 100,000 on like main stocks. It's not like millions of shares. As soon as the market opens, it's millions of shares because those orders like queued up. But so Robinhood being a couple 100,000 as well is kind of a decent proxy as well for what we're seeing. Bitcoin's under 60. Okay, let's pull up Bitcoin. Oh wow, it just rebounded. Bitcoin. There was a wick to 50. There was a wick to 59 2 days ago, and it went up very nicely from that. So let's see if it re-triggers that level. Bitcoin right here, 6151. Tesla overnight is 245. Yeah, where's Tesla's price? Palantir is 2016. Palantir looks like it's going under 20. Yeah, tomorrow, guys. I think tomorrow shit's hitting the fan. Just be ready. Shit is hitting the fan tomorrow. Shit is absolutely hitting the fan. Tesla right now, 144. Average, wow, dude, 500,000 shares have been traded after hours on Tesla. Holy crap. That's insane, dude. People are offloading their Tesla position, at least on Robinhood. And that means tomorrow on the brokerage level for the other guys, we might see some of that happen. Bitcoin's still above 60. It's still above 60. June says, thanks for staying on amid war makes me sad, and it's nice to be a familiar company in times like this. Yeah, no problem. You know, it's I know war makes you sad, and look, war makes me sad, but seeing my portfolio red also makes me sad. Like, I just think overall, dude, it sucks. Like, no one wants to see a war. No one wants to see their fucking hard-earned money start depreciating because these two countries just want to fucking nuke each other. Like, no one wants to see any of this shit. So at least we can all be here together and see this shit go down. You know, I will say, a lot of people say during a war, you shouldn't care that much about your financial situation because, like, of all the bad stuff happening. I get that argument, but I'm also like, dude, this is my fucking money. Like I do care about my money, even though there's a war. Like, yeah, I'm sad there's a war and I get it, but my stocks, like I do care about my financial well-being. So like, I do think it's okay to care about your money depreciating by the second because of a fucking stupid war that has to happen. And it's not that crazy or insensitive to actually care about that stuff because that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Bitcoin fixes this. I'll put the live stream in the chat or the link in the chat. If anyone wants to join and just talk and leave some comments, you guys can get on. We'll see how this plays out. Do you need the money now? No. I mean, like, so that's the good thing. I mean, I have, income outside of the money that I have in the market. So it's not like, well, that's the thing also. Like if you really did need the money, then it really sucks, right? Like, I think everyone should be able to survive monthly at minimum, if not 6 months to a year outside of the investments you have in the market. I think that's just a general rule of thumb. But it does suck when you look at your portfolio, dude, and you got to start working your way from the bottom, you know? Like at one point this year, after that Robinhood Gold event, I was on the train coming back from that event. Portfolio was looking up, almost 200% year to date. Portfolio was looking pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. It was looking really, now it's not up 200% year to date, dude. And year to date was like, what, 3 months? So less than 3 months. So it was a nice return for a short amount of time. It just sucks to see it, dude. It just sucks to see it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Just bought 400 shares of Hood. Okay, not bad. Well, here's the thing, dude. If this shit is not as serious as it is being perceived, which the Iran attack on Friday, at the end of the day, it wasn't as serious as we thought it was on Saturday. Markets recovered. The reason the market tanked this week is because J-Powell, oil prices, all that stuff, inflation rates, but not actually geopolitically. But now geopolitically, we're having some issues, and we'll see if the market takes it seriously or not. Rango.
Yo, bro. How's it going?
What the fuck is going on, man? What's happening? Explain it to me.
What's happening? Where? Everywhere.
You have a bear thesis. What is your bear thesis? I know you were saying you have some good insights on it.
I mean, it's not like some. I mean, I see like a lot of like retail traffic, which is like historically pretty great, kind of like empty, slowly, but steadily. I don't know. Just feel it. Like the thing is, like the economy started re-accelerating ever since start of this year.
Yeah.
Something happens in like January. I don't know. Even last year it started re-accelerating, but that was a good thing. This year it started doing the same thing. Something happens in January. I don't know what happens.
But okay. So how are you feeling about all these Fed presidents talking about inflation? Do you think they're full of shit, or do you actually think inflation?
No. I mean, I don't think inflation is. I mean, inflation. The prices are hard. You can dance around like the numbers a little bit if you exclude this, if you exclude that. I don't think we're going to go back to the 1970s though, right? But it is like, I mean, we are having unusually strong economy with this high interest rates. That's a fact. We can speculate on why that's happening, but I mean, you basically killed off all interest rate sensitive sectors, and still you have the overall economy accelerating like this, which is a bad thing, right? If you cut rates, those interest rate sensitive sectors are gonna like get demand, and it's only like the price stability is gonna just get stuck here, not going to go to 2%. On data, I don't know why we are accelerating like this, but looks like it's a fact. I don't know. I have a bunch of conspiracy theories, but that's all just conspiracy theories. Like,
all right, we have another guy backstage as well. Good friend of the channel, Roy. How are you?
Wish I could say good. This is terrible. War's terrible.
What are your thoughts? Do you think? So how do you feel about the entire situation? Do you think Israel needed to do this, and do you think Iran's going to fight back?
I think that the main reason why Israel and Iran have traditionally exchanged blows, and this is a lot more direct, is to show that they're tough in a region where you kind of have to do that. You're surrounded by bullies. But Israel did that effectively, you know, with help. Even Jordan helped, which was kind of unique. And I think that there was an opportunity to end this and walk away at that point, you know. I think Netanyahu and Israel wanted to strike back, not all Israelis, just the government. And the scary thing is, I don't see a way that they get out of this easily. It's just going to be, you know, Iran is going to hit back. You know that. And then you know what's going to happen after that is Israel will hit back. And eventually this thing's just spiral out of control. And the problem is there's other conflicts in the world that largely are unresolved. Ukraine and Russia is the largest one. And there's just a shortage of diplomats and diplomacy working right now. So I'm concerned, you know, not so much like that this is like the big, but just like where does this actually freaking end? Sucks.
Rango, how are you thinking about Bitcoin right now during this time?
I mean, it's a global liquidity indicator. Not surprising that it's going down. I'm surprised it's holding up, actually.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Hi, Roy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ringo.
I'm a regular watcher of your shows wherever you come. SoFi podcast and this one. Yeah.
Glad to be on here with you. Wish it was more fun, happy, exciting times, but
yeah,
dude, the good thing about SoFi is they don't trade on the 24-hour market. So
that's a good thing, man.
You know, everyone asked me, hey, when you go see Vlad, can you ask him this question? And I really wanted to, but I felt it would be inappropriate to ask him such a specific question about a stock not trading on the 24-hour market. So I didn't do it. I bitched out on it. But I'm curious too. Why is it not? I don't know why. It's not
they might have some kind of like, you know, metrics, right? Like if it's like about this many volumes is being traded. And
no. They let anything. I think Noto maybe came to Vlad and said, hey, we don't want our stock to be this volatile. That's my theory.
Interesting.
Right?
Well,
because why else? I don't think Vlad's afraid of SoFi's competition, dude. I feel like that's such a silly take. I don't think that's the reason.
No, that's not the reason. I just assumed you should have like a minimum of this much volume and
SoFi has plenty. They have 50 million every day in volume. SoFi's fine.
I don't know.
Vlad seems chill, so I don't know if it would have been Vlad, but I know Noto had that interview where he said that Robinhood should stay in their lane.
Yes.
I'm curious on the timing of that. I wasn't paying attention at the time and connecting the two, but I'm wondering if somebody at Robinhood, maybe not Vlad, but somebody was like, you know what? We're just going to freaking delete this from the 24-hour market.
Dude, I think that's illegal. I don't think they can discriminate against a stock. You know what I mean? Like, that's like them saying, oh, we don't like Jeff Bezos, so we're not going to give Amazon liquidity on the Like, it's not legal, right?
Well, I mean, we see right now, Israel and Iran, the world is not reasonable. People are not reasonable. No, like emotions can get involved in 24-hour market is not like highly regulated or anything like that. Like they don't have to offer 24-hour for anything. They did a selective number of companies and they can, you know, even if there was some legal issue with it, which I don't think that there is, they could just be like, oh, it's because of like low interest and volume. And how would you prove that, you know? So. But no, I'll have to look and see when that interview was. Do you remember who it was with?
I think it was with Kathy. It was a month ago.
Right? Kathy.
It was Kathy? Okay, yeah.
But at the end of the day, like the thing is, people trading SoFi stock, I don't think helps or hurts Robinhood. If anything, it gives them more revenue in terms of payment for order flow because the volumes of trading volumes increase overnight. And SoFi's a retail stock, so I think it's a good thing for Robinhood. I don't know how it could be bad. Like if SoFi crushes their earnings and SoFi goes to $10, Robinhood can't stop them from going to $10 because they're not on the 24. You know what I mean? Like, it just never made sense to me. But
yeah.
Okay, so
like, just looking at it offhand, the timing is really close. So
wait, when did they officially get off the 24-hour market? Was it during that interview? You think?
No, well, I don't think it was right away, but I know it was like a bit over a month ago when people were noticing that, and that's when the interview was. So it's like.
Maybe Vlad saw that. She said, stay in your lane, motherfucker. Beep. He clicked that button.
Now, Vlad seems pretty chill, though, right? Like, I would guess that this is, like, beneath him, that he would not do this. You know, he's had plenty of... But, like...
I mean, yeah. Especially if he's getting revenue out of it. I mean, I don't think he benefits out of it, right? The trading volume.
Yeah, dude, he's a billionaire. I don't think he cares about that. Like, that's such a small thing at the end of the day. Maybe a billionaire is petty. He's not petty like Elon. He's not petty like Rango's boss. So speaking of Elon, Rango, I know you can't get you have to be careful on how you talk about this, but in your opinion, why do you think you survived the Tesla exodus of layoffs?
I don't know. I just got lucky, man. Like honestly, I don't know.
Are you just better than everybody else at Tesla? You're
No,
better
no, no,
than the
no. That's not
14,000
true.
people that got fired?
That's not true. I mean, that's not true. I think like because they were, uh, I don't know. I can't say much, but I just got lucky. Let's just say it that way.
Real quick, it might be this. It might be a bank charter regulation. Honestly, it might be that. It might be that. That might be. But
for no SoFi.
For SoFi. Yeah, for SoFi.
I mean,
wait.
We can check. What else is
JPM, Goldman Sachs, none of them.
Can you trade JPM? Oh, it's not a bank charter thing. It's not a bank. Yeah. Dude, it may be.
I was gonna say like. Good guess.
Either SoFi went to Robinhood and said, "Don't let us be traded," or maybe SoFi. Oh, I think SoFi did it. I think SoFi went to Robinhood and was like, "Hey, don't give people access because we want them to buy SoFi on SoFi's app." And if overnight they go to Robinhood's app, they're stealing users, people that would traditionally buy SoFi on SoFi's app, coming to Robinhood. Maybe that's why they said, I don't know, it's a bad theory. But. Okay, Tesla. So Rango, what are your thoughts in general about the concept of robo-taxi scaling? Like, how do you feel about that vision? Do you think that's a cool thing?
I mean, it's consensus is it's risky and it's yeah, I mean, it is risky, right? At least I don't have view of much of that side of the organization. Maybe they have something which I don't know about. But yeah, it's definitely
let's ask Crossroads. Crossroads, how do you feel that Rango is now working for a guy? Rango, you can't answer this. Rango's now working for a guy who has literally pivoted the whole fucking company for the past 3 years. Everyone thought there would be this $25,000 car. That's out the window. And now they're focusing on robotaxi. How do you feel as an investor for Rango as an employee to have to work for such an erratic, insane guy who thinks he can pull this off? Again, Rango, don't answer this.
To be fair, we don't know for sure that the 25K car is out the window.
Oh, we know.
Probably. But I would say Elon Musk is entertaining. He's an incredible leader. Rango, you're going to be worked hard, buddy. You probably already know that. You're probably already feeling that.
Yeah.
Like the guys that are laid off might actually be like, oh, man, praise the Lord. This is great. I get a break. I'm so tired. It seems like a great company to work for, but man, do you have a family or kids?
Wife? I have a wife. No kids yet.
So yeah. you had a wife. You don't get to see her anymore. You got to work at Tesla.
I mean, my wife is sweet about it, so it's been okay. But it's pretty brutal. Yeah, that is true.
What are the hours like?
I mean, it depends, right? Like, the overall like baseline is like 50 to 60 hours. Like that's like the baseline. But like last quarter, we kind of did the whole NACS. Like I wrote software, opened up for non-Teslas, all the supercharging stuff, right? That I'm in the supercharging team, just FYI. Right, firmware for the superchargers. So that was pretty brutal. I was working like 80, 100 hours weeks. Easily.
That's why your ass didn't get fired. You were fucking putting in work. That's why.
I mean, yeah, sure. I kind of had to, and because we had like a pretty hard deadline in Feb and Jan. So like, yeah, 2 quarters, it was pretty brutal. Like, yeah. And then this quarter, it didn't technically slow down, still putting in 50, 60 hours a week. But yeah, like, but like, I really need, like, I'm taking like some kind of vacation next month because I'm feeling like kind of a little bit of burnout. Probably like a week or so next month.
You need to.
Are you afraid of taking a vacation because your boss would think you don't work hard, or they're super chill about you?
I mean, honestly, like my mentality about that has been like, I mean, if they get rid of me, they get rid of me. What can I do about that? Can like because I'm not being productive at that point. Because I feel the burnout, and if I don't take some time off, I just don't. Like I make stupid mistakes, and then the rollbacks are pretty bad, and it's just more work than it needs to be. So if that need like it's like, you know, if at that point if they get rid of me, I mean, can't really control that. Market for firmware engineers, like low level software engineers, is pretty good right now because of AI. Every chip needs to be firmware needs to be written for that. So so it's pretty decent. So like I'd be kind of sad. I'm a huge Tesla fan. Like I was a huge Tesla fan before working for Tesla. So, and I really like took lesser money to go work for Tesla,
Right.
over like another company. So it'd be pretty sad for other reasons, but sometimes you can't control it. Yeah.
You're putting in the
Go ahead,
work
Roy.
of like 10 Google employees in 1 week, so that's pretty good.
Come again?
You're putting in the work of about 10 Google employees in 1 week, so that's pretty good. I'm just curious. So that's a mission driven culture and job. It's not all about the
Yeah.
pay. Like
Yeah.
what you've worked probably for both, like a company like Tesla. Well, now like Tesla.
I was with
and you've worked-
Apple before that. I was with Apple.
So why would you choose arguably a harder work environment, like Tesla, if it's paying you less? I think I know the answer, but I'm curious.
I mean, like, no, I mean, it did, like, it does pay me better than Apple. Like, just let's get that straight. It's not like a bad paying job. Like, but I had other offers which were paying much better. Like, I wanted to move out of Apple, that's for sure at that point. Ideally, I wanted to work for Tesla, but I mean, you can't really control that, right? You kind of interview around and see what works out, and you pick one, whatever you get, right? But I did want to work for Tesla. But one big reason is, yes, like it's a mission driven company. I'm very like it's meaningful work, but also the fact that you get a lot of responsibility. And as much as you might just be like let go, like these layoffs are like in cyclical industries, it's very common because auto industry. As much as you might be let go, you also get a lot of responsibility, and that comes with a lot of growth. And like when I'm young, when I say not just technical growth, also like real growth, like you can see a lot of line employees become like senior level execs, or just normal engineers become execs in like 6-7 years. If you do put in the work, that's definitely possible. But at Apple, it's not possible to do that. It's just not possible. There's a hard terminal level because it's just so big.
How do you feel about mainstream media's coverage of Tesla over the past 4 months? Obviously, the stock objectively has gone down significantly, and company has been interesting. How do you think the media is covering it? It's fair or not?
I mean, like media does like the incentives are set up that way, right? Like Tesla gets clicks, negative Tesla gets even more clicks, negative Elon gets more clicks, Elon bad gets more clicks. So it's just incentives are set up that way. I feel like even if there is a PR person, I think they'll take that statement and then spin it in another negative way. I don't know. I mean, like that. Even the PR person was like writing on X, right? Rohan Patel and stuff. And I don't think they added any more statements from his snippets in the mainstream media either, right? Like he was addressing a lot of issues. Maybe he was not talking to them. I don't know. Like, but I don't think. I mean, it's Tesla has been like this since 2018. Like, it's just how it is. It's just like the character of the company. And I actually honestly don't think that affects the stock, honestly. Like, look at Enphase, that's down 70%, and the CEO literally doesn't say anything.
All right,
I think
let's react.
This tracks business performance, at the end of the day. Earnings, business performance,
I want to react to this clip by Brad Gerstner today. It's 2 minutes we didn't get to play during the show. I thought this was interesting, his take on robotaxis. Let's see what he had to say, and then we'll talk from there.
Last night, I was shocked by the number of Waymos I saw. I saw them everywhere.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, like none of them had drivers. None of them had anybody in the front seat. They had riders in the car. And I think in the city of San Francisco and these other cities, I mean, that was just mind-boggling when you saw it the first time. And there was at one point, I had 3 cars around me, and they were all Waymos, right?
And people have eclipse-like experiences when they get into things.
Listen. I think part of the setup here is it's been a tough week for Tesla. They're laying off 14,000 people, or about 10% of their workforce. Car demand is clearly weak, right? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, there's some transformative things going on that you and I've talked about, right? These imitation models are clearly better than expected at scale. They're having a larger rollout of FSD. So now I think they pushed FSD out to everybody who has the technical capability on their Tesla in order to receive it. They've talked about dramatically lowering the cost of FSD to $99 a month. I think they've hit over 1 billion miles driven now with FSD. And by our estimates, they're adding over 1 billion miles a month. So I think that their confidence that their data advantage is increasing dramatically is going up. So there's some speculation out there. Oh, Elon's throwing the long ball on robotaxi and all this. I don't believe any of that, right? I think that the conditions that get the company re-excited about robotaxi is that FSD is going way, way better than they expected it would 18 months ago in terms of the technology, Bill, in terms of the technology.
Do you agree with that from a philosophical perspective, Rango, that like the only reason to get excited is because tech, I mean, publicly they've shared, right, the miles have increased?
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty serious about it, and V12 has been pretty good, right? So, and I do see like Waymo's doing pretty well. Like, I mean, they're not like Waymo's are not scalable though. I did use Waymo's in San Francisco a lot. Um, it's really good. It's really good. I like it. Good experience. It's very polished experience. So, like,
Have
you
you
should
been
use
in
it.
a Waymo before? And
Oh yeah, all the time. When I went to San Francisco, I used Waymo like quite a bit, and it costs the same as Uber. It's just for like like it's
did
fun
it
to
feel
use.
unsafe at all?
No, it's actually really good. It's really comfortable. It's really good.
Yeah.
There's one instance where it did not know what to do. Like I think the HD maps didn't match with what it was seeing or something like that. I mean, at least that's how it looked like. I don't know. But it didn't know what to do, and then we had to call like customer support, and then I think they remotely operated through that situation.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Roy, what do you think about what Gerstner said, that the only reason they're transitioning to robotaxis is because FSD has gotten that good?
I think that there's it's certainly credible. I've seen a very different reaction towards full self-driving by those that are able to experience it. Hopefully I'll get to experience it next month. Not everybody's like, yeah, this is amazing, this is great, it's perfect. I don't hear very many people saying that at all, but it is a massive step change. And what's changed even more significantly, they have the data centers now. They're able to assimilate and process that for I think quicker iterations, and then you also have that huge data intake with the 1 month trial, and then of course the $99 package, and of course the new purchases as well, being eligible for that free trial as well. So we don't know for sure how much data they'll collect. It depends. But as far as the actual driving, like we'll see that 1 billion mile mark. That's ancient history at this point. Like we're eyeing 2 billion, and that could happen in a matter of a month or two. Yeah, it's actually amazing if they're able to capitalize on that. Waymo, great. It breaks ground as far as regulation. It's good to have some things like that. Like Ringo said, it's not scalable. I am very interested to see how quickly the next step change for full self-driving comes out. Because if it's like a step up from 12.3 like it was over the previous iteration, and that happens in the next few months, I will become very, very excited, because Brad Gerstner will absolutely be right.
So, you should like Mark Zuckerberg recently did an interview. I don't know if you guys saw that, and
a little bit of it, a little bit.
yeah. So one thing, I kind of like obviously I don't know anything about the autopilot organization, what's going on in there, but one thing I thought like just bullish in terms of the AI stuff is like I was talking about like Llama 3. They were like adding more and more data, and apparently like it just the laws of scaling never stopped. It kept getting better and better and better, and it never had like an endpoint. It kept getting better, and they had to at one point say like, hey, we need to use this to train H1, like we need to use these H100s to train like Llama 4. So let's just like release Llama 3, like this is good enough. But if they wanted to, they could have added like way more data to it, and
Yeah.
it would have been like even more, even better, right? So this kind of like tells me if you get the architecture right, and there is no really like a scaling law which stops like the performance of your AI model, right?
Right.
I don't know how that translates to video. I don't know how that translates to a lot of things, but like that kind of made me like, okay, we just are scaling the compute because we were compute constrained till recently, right? And that would mean that like we are hit nowhere close to the limits of how much the model can get better. That's what I kind of inferred from it. Like this is nowhere from Tesla or anything. This is just like from his interview. I kind of like
So
that's what,
given you're saying the obvious, if Tesla wins the data game, it's GG for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't you think Wall Street should care more about that versus
Yeah, but like the thing is, they only care about it once it shows up in EPS, right? The business model is not clear. Like so many things are not clear. Like how are they going to go to market is not clear, and like how is it going to come into the EPS if that part is not clear? Like what is your margins going to be? It doesn't fit in nice spreadsheets anywhere. Till then, they really won't care about it. It'll just be languishing somewhere. They won't add. Like there is smart money like which is adding, like Brad Gertzner is one of them, right?
Yeah.
He is adding for the FST, right?
Yep.
But like there are smart money adding it for this. Yeah, I feel like that's why Tesla stock is held up pretty decently, honestly. Like that's personal opinion again. Um, uh, Not recently, after
Yeah.
Q1 delivery numbers and stuff, right? So yeah, so like till the EPS comes, a lot of like people won't even care about all that stuff. Like it needs to come in P2E, only then they'll care about it.
Okay, Roy, since Rango can't answer this, but you think Tesla's going to $100?
Probably not, unless we get in this nasty cycle, which is happening right now with Israel and Iran. If we can't break out of that, maybe like every stock is going to just get tanked. And I know that like you can look at the stock market in past wars and conflicts. This is a little bit different because it's with for sure one nuclear power and another one that at least there's rumors that they have nuclear capability. And the Middle East is always a powder keg. There's alliances and entanglements. It can lead to a lot of stuff. So I would say no, but no, 150. Like honestly, it felt like what Ringo said when he first said, the Tesla stock had been holding up. I was like, it hasn't been holding up. But to be fair, like myself and probably a lot of people were thinking, hey, Tesla is probably going to go to 150 like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So I don't know. Like there's always buyers that'll step in and bet on Elon, even in the worst environments, unless we get to like, basically it looks like World War III. At that point, it's like we're not going to zero, but lots of pain for lots of people. And the worst, the last thing on our minds, I know it's perfectly fine to be thinking about, stock market and finances and stuff. That's just human nature. But if there is an actual World War III, I think it's a very low chance, but there's a small chance there.
We do have some. We do have some breaking news, guys. 24-hour trading is unavailable on Robinhood.
Oh shit! Really?
Shut it down.
They're selling. They're selling it. Everybody's selling it, dumping it.
I think the reason they shut it down is because there's too much selling.
Yeah.
And honestly, that to me, I know everyone's immediately thinking, "Oh, this is GameStop." No. 24-hour trading is totally different, dude. 24-hour trading, no other brokerages do it. So if Robinhood's the only one doing it, they uniquely have to take a look at what the fuck is going on, right? Like the entire market can't just tank on their 24-hour trading. Like it's supposed to be for regular trading. If there's a black swan event, like if this was COVID happening in the middle of the day, Schwab, Fidelity, the SEC, all of these things would be halted, just like it was back in 2020. So to me, this is more so a question of them realizing things are getting really bad, which means tomorrow morning things are going to get very bad.
Dude, I don't get it. This is more like for my education. Like it might be like only 50. Then why is 10-year dropping? Like it's still
so I asked Chris, didn't Chris say people are buying bonds? Isn't that the argument? Because it's inverse. When people buy bonds, it goes down.
Yeah, but why? Like your oil prices is going up and people will be like, if inflation is coming back and like higher for longer, so your 10-year should be rallying, right?
Yeah, I mean technically, yeah.
No, like it's just it's like super inverse. Like the reason I care about that so much is because I'm in the process of selling my house and I don't want the housing market to tank right now.
I think the housing market will be fine. So
are you getting you have to be getting a great price on your housing market?
Oh yeah, it's pretty hot right now. The market in Bay Area, the housing market is actually pretty hot right now. I don't want the hotness to go away. If the stock market crashes, it goes away. That's the problem. If Nvidia stock crashes and Apple stock crashes, we are done. Because that literally translates to the buyers here.
Yeah.
Most of the buyers are all like Nvidia folks buying houses right now.
Oh boy. Tomorrow's going to be bad, dude. Tomorrow's going to be bad.
Yeah, oil WTI is up 4%.
What?
And,  'Cause- 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 'cause-
Oh my God. Yep, you're right. It's up 4%. Okay, so Rango, what else are you thinking from a macro perspective happens? Forget the geopolitics, just like pure inflation.
I mean, I don't know why. I mean, thing is, I was, I mean, Meet Kevin actually like did the like he actually read the transcripts from 2007 and like 2002, 2000. Looks pretty similar to right now. What
Are you saying
the
we're in
Fed is
2007,
saying
dude?
is,
Are you saying we're
huh?
in 2007?
I no, I don't know that, right? But like the how the Fed meetings are all going, it looks very similar to how it is going right now. The
Oh,
inflation coming back and everything, like job market staying fine. And he literally like sure, like when the unemployment peaks, that was the stock market bottom, and it was funny. And I was like, shit, that's crazy. And yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't
dude.
know. I like last year I was feeling very positive and the economy started deaccelerating, that's fine. And then all this geopolitical shit started happening. Oil prices started rallying. I thought during election year they'll keep all this like under control. Like, like they won't like, they'll like, keep it all under control. But apparently they don't have control over anything. And that's you know, and they don't have the SPR to control the oil prices. So I don't know.
Crossroads.
The oil price is pretty important, man, for inflation. So it's a base effect.
Yeah, it's kind of good for Tesla because oil up is good for Tesla, but also it's bad for Tesla because of rates, right?
Rates, right? Yeah, it's SPR and all. Like I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of clueless people sitting in that administration and who has no idea what they're doing. I don't
Crossroads.
know.
Any thoughts on macro for you? Next few
Man,
months.
It's going to be rough. Like if this sort of thing keeps happening, and I mean these keep being a step up from prior aggressions or counterattacks, depending on who's doing it. Perspective, yeah, inflation, it's going to keep heading up and be painful, and higher for longer might turn into higher forever to wondering like, and I know there's been some speculation on this, instead of just rate cuts, rate hikes. Could cause a real recession. We could see stagflation. Like, I don't think that those things will happen, but there's a chance now versus like 3 months ago. We were all like, nope, that's not going to happen at all. So, no, this is really bad. Usually, though, when these sort of events happen, there's the initial movement, and then things actually settle back down. So it wouldn't surprise me. I don't track oil, just I look at it. But oil guys can tell me there's resistance lines there all the way, and there's people that are trading at 24 hours, and so we'll see. I think this drop back some. It's always an overreaction, but I think that the initial reaction when things open up in the pre-market and the actual market tomorrow, I could be wrong, and I was wrong last time with the initial foray of this. But I think it's going to be very, very red. There's going to be some halted stocks, a lot of fear. There's already fear in the market. There's going to be a whole lot. And we're still in a bull market, but no, things could get a lot worse with this sort of thing going on.
I mean, is Russian sanctions still on, right? Like people are still not buying from Russia, right? All the Western.
Supposedly, at least from United States and European allied companies.
That's yeah, that's like, I mean, that causes more supply shock, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and it seems like the world goes through seasons like this where diplomacy works for a long, long time, and it's not just diplomacy. There's usually a threat of force as well. Theodore Roosevelt had that saying, "Talk loud, and carry a big stick." No, talk softly and carry a big stick. And of course, he brokered the Japanese Russia war ceasefire there in I don't remember the year, but it's before World War I. I think it was 1907. And during that time, like diplomacy kind of worked, and then it fell apart because World War I hit, and did not work well at all until after World War II, a major conflict, and then it just kind of broke down again. And we see even that in American history that prior to the Civil War, there was a long period of kind of diplomatic unease but peace. Missouri Compromise and Henry Clay and all that. And as soon as that guy died, Henry Clay, diplomacy broke down. And I just don't know who or what country, even what leadership can step up, because it seems like diplomacy is just not working right now. And usually in those times, Just things get worse, conflicts get worse, irrational decisions are made, and war is very, very rarely good for anybody. Somebody might win the conflict, but it's just bad.
Yeah. Do you think that diplomacy is not working because of the current administration not doing a good job, or is it because like what do you think? Why do you think that's happening? I mean, I don't have an answer to that honestly. Like, I mean, they cannot be like it's they are incentivized to do a good job right now, at least, right, this year at least. But why do you think they can't get it under control? Like, is this purely how can you solve it, or what would be good? What would should be different for it to be good, according to you?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I know that when there is a dominant superpower, or at least two superpowers that can relate to each other and at least have diplomacy. And of course, United States and America actually installed after the Cuban Missile Crisis, which was that point where diplomacy was not working. They installed that that red line that they could instantly pick up, and they could get the Kremlin on the line or the White House on the line any time of day, any hour, just so that they could actually talk. And things started getting a lot better in the world. There was still conflict, there were still issues, but diplomacy was working. When USSR folded up, United States was a sole superpower, so we didn't really have to do that. And so there's this. There was conflicts in the in the world. Don't get me wrong, but nothing compared to what we're seeing on the scale right now with Ukraine and Russia, with Israel and Iran. Of course, there was Azerbaijan as well, and Armenia, although that one's maybe a little bit better than it was. I think we're at this point where America is losing a little bit of its leadership, and there's the diplomatic lines haven't really been developed far enough. There's been attempts, but I'm not the biggest fan of either of the guys running in office. So I think it might have been better, slightly better under Trump, but I don't know. Like neither of them are ideal diplomats in my mind. But I will say there seemed to be a lot less conflict under Trump, but that may have just been things brewing under the surface. I'm not sure, but no, I think usually in this sort of conflict, it's unless you have overwhelming power where you can just exert your will, which the United States could really until like the last few years, and the willingness to do so. If you don't have that, then you need to have strong diplomatic ties with a couple of other strong parties. And so China's like the big player that I think if there's an end to this conflict at some point that's not completely awful, World War III between Israel and Iran, feels like it almost has to have China involved. China and the United States, maybe Russia, I don't know. But for sure, China and the United States seem like the two big superpowers. China has a lot of issues, and we're not liking each other. There's a lot of, not a hot war or anything like that. It's not a Cold War yet, but there's a lot of sanctions, and hey, we're going to not make sure that chips are not sold to you, and China retaliates.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like we're talking well each other. And so we're at that point before the Cuban Missile Crisis, if you want to go back to that time. But this time China is USSR. So
yeah. Do you see that report from IMF, Amit?
Yeah, they said GDP is going to grow, but the debt to GDP ratio is also going to grow. And that's why we're fucked. Like, we're going to grow, which is great. But
They're basically saying our deficit spending is causing like inflation all over the world. That's crazy. I agree with that for most parts, but yeah, it's like it's come down to this point. I don't know.
And we've been there before. I really think that this is an excellent corollary to the 1920s. Right after World War I, there was a lot of war spending, military spending in the United States. People were saying recession. And of course, Warren G. Harding got elected, and he died quite quickly. There's a couple of scandals too. Calvin Coolidge took over, and he'd always run a very tight ship when he was governor. And so he did the same thing. The 1920s United States benefited immensely from mechanization and industrialization. And so the economy boomed, roaring 20s, of course. But then on the other side, he, let people go from the military. He didn't have a huge, and there was cuts in every single department of the government. Multiple years, he would basically say, hey, you department heads, you can make this percentage of cuts or I will make them for you and you will not like them. And was so tight, and I didn't fully agree with this, but it was so tight that even when natural disasters hit in the United States, the federal government was like, you know what? We're not spending on that. That's up to the state there. So, but that kind of austerity really helped take us from the point where we were in heavy deficit spending. At the time, we had a very high debt compared to what we usually had. But because you allowed a time for the actual budget to decrease over time, key programs are funded, and you allowed the actual economy to grow. Like that was the Roaring 20s. I know.
Why did we end? Yeah, why ended up in depression, right? Like
yeah. So that
why?
I mean, there was a couple of different things going on. First, the Federal Reserve was fairly new. I think 1917 is when it was created, and so they didn't know what they're doing. I would argue that sometimes it feels like they still don't know what they're doing, but they know a little bit more now. And the other piece of that is even when Coolidge was departing and he was asked to run again, he technically could have. He said no. All the candidates and all the major people that are running knew that there was a recession that was just going to happen. It was at that point you could kind of tell. There had actually been a point earlier in Coolidge's administration too, like halfway through when a recession was looming. It was very light, it was very short, but it was just a little bit more frequent. And so Harding, though, not Harding, Hoover basically did all the wrong things. Instead of letting and I'm not a full free market guy, but he came in with heavy government interference, did a lot of spending, a lot of deficit stuff. And that can stimulate the economy, certainly, but it caused a lot more problems than it did. And then when the Great Depression actually hit, they instituted a lot of policies just to try to do something. Like it got to the point where it was bad anyway. Like it would have been a rough recession, but they instituted things that seemed like they were more done just so it appeared that the government was doing something. Whether it worked or not, they didn't care. They just wanted to give appearance of being busy, rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. And so I think they would do crazy things. And I understand they're trying to like fix supply and demand, but they would, let food go to waste and burn it and shoot cows and tell crazy things. Like they're doing this in the late 20s and early 30s where they're like, if you plant more trees, then it will cause these really dry places to rain and you can plant all these crops there. And it's like, that's not how it works. Like there's a tiny, tiny glimmer of truth there, but it just, just a lot of government incompetence, overreaction, crazy deficit spending, and people were not prepared for it. They thought, hey, we're going to get past this, we're going to get through this, but they didn't have Coolidge at the helm with that very austere government letting the thing actually run its course. So that's my take anyway. There's a lot of different people that have other theories.
Okay. All right, I think we ended there.
And I put you asleep.
Nice. No, it's not even that. I'm just like, there's so much news happening everywhere. I'm just like, this is crazy. This is gonna be. What do you think right now about the 24-hour trading being down?
As a Robinhood shareholder, that's really bearish.
So to me, I think people are getting this wrong, dude. So this is my theory on this.
They are, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. The perception doesn't matter. This is a unique product for Robinhood. So during the pandemic, I don't know if you guys remember, like I think on March 20th, March 24th, those 10 days in March, the market was halted for like 30 minutes at a time within increments of 4 to 5 hours. If there is too much selling, you have to halt trading. That's like a SEC thing. That's not a brokerage thing. But they're the only ones that provide liquidity right now because they're the only ones that have this product. So if they're getting stress tested, it's
way more selling right now because they have the only one available.
They're the only ones. So if this is a black swan event, this is absolutely they have every right, is what I'm saying, to turn it off.
They do. They're probably right to do so, but the optics.
The optics are bad. Yeah, the optics are bad.
Robinhood took away the buy and sell button this time, so they can't be trusted. I'll never use them again.
No, but that's stupid because they took away they took away the buy and sell button on a product in which they're the only ones that offer a buy and sell button.
I agree.
Not taking away the buy and sell button and Schwab's not doing it,
But we do not live in a reasonable, rational world. That's not the way the market works. That's not the way the people work. And so I think it's going to hurt the narrative for Robinhood for a while. So I'm not bearish on Robinhood, not bearish on the world, but man, not a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be bad, dude. It's going to be bad. But not just for Robinhood, for the whole market. If Robinhood is to stop trading, that means the entire market tomorrow is going to be a lot of selling.
Usually when there is war escalation, they buy the dip.
Well, oh yeah, that's true. You did say that, right? You told me that.
That's history. Like literally every time. Like Ukraine, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the next morning, the buying the dip was crazy.
Could happen, and we're in a bull market, so that definitely will happen at some point. We're not going to like tank all the way down to 450 on the SPY, but
at least not on the straight line.
Yeah. No, there'll be ups and downs, but yeah, I don't know. I usually get it backwards as far as macro, but it would be kind of crazy if we're up like 2% in the S&P 500 tomorrow on the open. It's like, what's going on? But yeah.
Well, it'll be a test for Vlad to see if he learned anything about communication, because he's gonna have to communicate his way out of this one.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Stay safe, everybody. Talk later.
All right.
Bye.